One major fight is going to decide this map without a shadow of a doubt. There's the headshot. Needs one more.
And we're back, everyone. Wow, that was a very aggressive head nod out of you. That was surprising you didn't blow out your neck there.
Okay.
We're not in Texas anymore.
Nope, we're back in Poland, ladies and gentlemen, here live from the ESL studios. They bring you more action from the Challenger Series.
It's real. I was gonna say we're not in Texas anymore, but we're not in Kansas anymore. Or shoots.
It fits.
Wrong movie. Yeah, it does fit. Yeah, so we're here back, like you said, the Challenger Series back for the spring action, trying to see who qualifies into Brazil. If you guys didn't tune in last week, well, you know what? That was your fault and your mistake and you're bad. Get back there and watch the VODs because we had the Pro Series Texas event kickoff, which was a fantastic event. Blue, unfortunately, weren't there to join us. You had some prior commitments to go to, but it was a blast if you guys were watching it on stream or there in person. Got to meet a lot of the players, got to see some juicy drama unfold backstage as well. Won't tell you about it on air. I'll tell him when we're in breaks. I think I already did tell you, though.
I think you did tell me, yeah.
I did tell you
like 3 hours ago.
But some great stuff. And, of course, now as we are back here in Poland, we're going to be moving into now the Challenger Series for spring because with the Pro Series Texas now done, we're going to see who can qualify for the Pro Series in Brazil. So let's take a look at overall standings first and see how the season is kind of shaped up into week 4. You can see Lazarus currently in first place comfortably with 275 points. And a lot of the teams we're seeing here in the top 5 will be participating here. Well, actually, not that many. Now I look at it over again. There's quite a few teams who are not here in the top 5 that are not going to be playing here in the semifinals.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that analyzes itself. We still have forZe eSports in second place, who we saw play actually at the Pro Series last weekend when they managed to make it at least to the semifinals, but sadly fell a little bit short there trying to make it further past Enix. It was an all-NA final there. The focus for today, of course, is on Europe, so we start to focus back on some of these European teams and see if Lazarus can remain dominant. Hasn't really been the case, though. We've seen in previous weeks, and it's been quite a common affair, actually, that some of these high-tier teams or teams that seem to have a pretty dominant lead on the leaderboard are actually dropping their matches and relatively early on in the bracket.
So what we were saying during the Pro Series Texas is that over in Brazil you have one dominant team. Over in Southeast Asia you have two dominant teams that are pretty much neck and neck. Over in North America you have these two teams that are pretty much like the standard 2. Typically, it's like a standard 4. You'll always see time in and time out in the semifinals. And over in Europe, things constantly are changing nonstop. Let's take a look at the bracket, and you can see what I mean when it comes to Europe and how things have changed. DustTwo eSports have been able to make their way through into the top 4 yet again. They've done that so far 3 out of the 4 weeks. And then Knights of Honor, a team we saw actually get into the finals 2 weeks ago in Cup 4, have been able to make their way through back into the top 4 yet again. Currently, they're in 6th place, so just off the cusp of what we saw in the standings. But this is their chance to start to make some moves, though they have to really beat out these top teams. These are forZe and Lazarus. These are the two teams that have to lose in the semifinals time in and time out, if not lose even before that in the quarterfinals, to allow some other teams to have a chance to make it through into the top 2, since only 2 teams will go through into Brazil.
Yeah, these are teams that, like we said before, have had a pretty dominant grasp on the leaderboard up until these last 2 to 3 weeks or so, but the lead that they have has been slightly slipping. It's not too probably to be worried about it so much just yet, but they do need to maintain consistent performances. Making it to the semifinals should at least guarantee that they somewhat maintain their lead over a lot of the other teams, especially considering that our 3rd and 4th place contenders, actually our 3rd place contender is not going to be competing for it today, but you still have DustTwo at 175 points sitting in a tied 3rd place position right now. They could still sneak up on teams like forZe if the need arises for that one.
Yeah, they can try, and I think what you were saying about the point lead, like they still had a comfortable lead, though it's starting to shrink a little bit. It was 75 points every week prior, now it's down to 50, so it is slowly closing, but the thing is, like, Lazarus and forZe have to lose like semifinals to like really have a chance for like Noble to close that distance of 50 points, or for DustTwo to close the distance of 50 points, or even Unbreakable to close it of 80 points. Like there's these large gaps still between 2nd, 3rd through, I guess, the rest of the standings if you want to talk about it that way. So Lazarus and forZe, like, I think their qualification spot into Brazil is in their hands. If they can keep playing, keep getting semifinals at least at a minimum every week, you're in. You're into the main event. You're going to be heading to Brazil, all expenses paid, and potentially the chance to win a little bit of extra money on the side.
Yep, and they've been able to maintain that position quite consistently, as you may have seen there on the bracket for this week, with both of them managing to make it here to the semifinals. We're going to be getting to catch one of them in just a few minutes here, as we're getting ready to spectate Lazarus going up against DustTwo. It looks like we actually have most of the players in the lobby already, so our game is just a few moments away from starting things off here. It's going to be the usual rotation of maps that we're used to as well. Since we are still in the semifinal, it'll be a best of 3 to start things off. We'll be jumping on a Paradise Island for our first batch. Excuse me. Damn it. I had to reach the mute button in time. Rough start.
This is a cough, but not a sneeze button. Yeah, so just to kind of give some sort of history while we disinfect that microphone before it's tomorrow. DustTwo made it into the finals, actually the first cut where they played against forZe. I think they beat Lazarus, if I remember correctly. I could be completely wrong, since it was like 5 weeks ago. But they've been able to make it through to the finals one time so far out of the first 4 cups, but they're able to place top 4 in 3 out of the 4 cups anyways. So this is a nice little chance for them to have an opportunity to get through. If they can do it, it'd be a massive victory for them. And again, it holds Lazarus back a little bit further for maybe forZe to overtake them as the rest of, obviously, this week does unfold. And then, of course, next week, when we coming back, we'll be having North America and Europe to show you. North America has been pretty heavily handed in favor of 2 teams. The 2 teams you expect, Impact and Enix, pretty much sitting guaranteed almost through into Brazil. And I think we'll actually start to take a look at some other regions when we get to that point as well, because we're only a few weeks left to go.
Yeah, the LAN itself is, I think, only like 3 or 4 weeks away at this point. So
yeah, it's coming right before my birthday.
It's coming up very, very soon indeed, which means the qualification window is going to be closing soon as well.
Birthday. So, you have no excuse to not buy me something now.
What is it, June 8th?
No. It's like right after.
Oh, okay.
Like September's right after June, right? No, June 17th. June 17th.
That's like multiple weeks after the 9th, isn't it?
It's like 1 1/4. And to be fair, out of the last 7 years I've been here, 6 years I've been here, I got it. 6 years I've been here, I've worked on my birthday 5 out of the 6 years. A little bit of tidbit, a little bit of Snapple fact.
Just means you're a hard worker. That's all that means.
Yeah, I'll go for that one.
Dedicated to your craft.
So here we go. Lazarus over on the blue side. DustTwo eSports on the red. And DustTwo are currently fighting to get out of 4th place and potentially break through into 3rd, or most likely 2nd is definitely where they want to go. Paradise Island is the first map, as you mentioned before. And we do have Lazarus with that early control.
Means it's going to be a king of the hill to start things off, folks. All the focus will be on this one central point. We've got DustTwo moving in to try and steal away control of that primary point now. They're going to be able to accomplish that easily. Lazarus are kind of on the peel back right now, trying to keep their players static and out of this fight. Romeo, though, is able to take out the spleen, limiting that presence to a certain extent. We do see the members of DustTwo trying to rotate down to the bottom of the map and take control of the cabana, but it's not going to end up working out too well. Lord Mono is able to take out one of the last defenders here. Now, as Lazarus attempt to push back into the site, they're going to find themselves outwitted, which means we do get to see DustTwo pushing ahead quite convincingly.
Yeah, that elimination feed going all red at the moment. 250 points to 175. You can see now Lazarus trying to fight their way back in with a little bit of a 3-1 split. Actually swing people a couple wide, actually, as Lord Mono's actually pushed straight through, but to be taken down by Armenian Ace, who gets the 2nd before eventually being dropped by the 3rd. And Sergio, by himself on the point, won't be able to hold, and Lazarus will eventually turn the point over, or maybe not, as the Spleen and Doran come in with some 2 back-to-back kills, able to keep that control, at least for now.
Lord Mono will be able to pick off the spleen, eliminating some of the last presence here for Lazarus. It's Armenian Ace, however, that's looking to try and steal away the point itself. We'll get a lot more assistance from his teammates a few moments later. Lord Mono trying to work his way in on the flank, gets into a great position, but he's not able to leverage the angle properly, so he is going to get 1v2'd, and he ends up getting knifed out. Another perfect aim coming in from Romeo there to be able to pick off Armenian once more, and Divine King picking up the double elim, taking out the spleen and Doran to try and hold control now for Lazarus.
Nade coming through, doing some decent damage, but it's going to be Lazarus able to maintain the control and now close this distance. About 60 points left to go before they do take the lead. Armenian Ace has been doing fantastic so far at 116 points, just behind Doran, who's leading his team at 120. On the other side, though, Lord Mono's in first place at 109, but that flank that he did pull off helped assist this retake. And here we go, the push to come back in. See, Lazarus able to trade out, but it's going to be in favor of Lazarus, though, as they have a man advantage. Doran's going to respawn onto Romeo, so now it's going to be down to a 2-on-2, but the respawn's going to be a big factor here, Blue.
Yep, the respawns will determine quite a bit indeed. Lazarus has done a great job of fighting themselves back, but unfortunately they're about to lose that slight comeback they've been working on here. As we see DustTwo stealing control of the hill back once again. Divine King again on this flank though, and this time able to find massive impact. A quick switch to get the double elim, and possibly a perfect aim off of that last frag as well. Sergio is going to go bare knuckle brawling to try and keep himself in the fight, but it won't work out. The flank from Lazarus works out brilliantly, and they steal the point back once again.
I don't know how Divine King's been able to do this so many times in a row. Like, that was the 2nd time back-to-back that he just flanked around and was able to pick up those eliminations and, more importantly, apply some pressure from a different angle. Romeo is just on a sniping spree right now. He's going to hit... Oh, he's going to miss a shot onto the spleen, unfortunately. He's going to push in as the point has been taken. They're down in points. They're going to need these eliminations if they want to be able to maintain this control, and they're going to be able to do that.
Romeo sneaks in. Unfortunately, he's a little bit low, but these quick switches from Romeo as he even goes on a streak before finally getting knifed out by Armenian. We end up seeing Lord Mono move in to pick up the counter trade on that. Still leaves Lazarus in a leading position, though, as they've now stolen it away from DustTwo. It truly will probably end up coming down to the wire here with how back and forth the point is once again. But Excellence now moving his way in on the flank. He is going to be found out by Doron, so the damage is stopped before it becomes too great. But that's still at least one free kill that he was able to sneak off against the members of DustTwo. However, they've got a strong grasp on this site. They've taken back their lead and are inching slowly up towards that 1,000-point marker.
I think DustTwo's going to be able to do this, actually, with Spleen getting an elimination, with Doran responding as well to a 2-on-2. They're going to have to jump on the point right away. The problem is they have to be so careful. Any explosions can completely decimate them and allow the victory to come through. There it is. Doran rushes in. He gets the streak, and he gets the map. 13 eliminations for him, 247 points. Played a fantastic match, and you know what? It got DustTwo on the board. They're up now 1-0 and are one map away from getting through into the finals.
Yeah, Doran and the Spleen specifically having some fantastic performances there, moving it around, but they've got to be conscious of those flanks that we were seeing from Lazarus. Those turn the game around on at least two occasions.
It happened too many times.
Yeah, possibly more than that as well, that we just might not have caught on camera, and that was all primarily being done by Divine King, just a swift rotate through the cabana and then back out towards the middle, let him pick up multiple multi-frags throughout the course of that match.
Yeah, and that should just not be happening, but as we move into Old Factory, a little bit of TDM, flanks are a little bit more risky, because since you're only a 500-point limit, if you do go for the flank and you mess up and you get caught out, that could cost you the match. It could cost you the lead, more importantly, in where you are in that match. Romeo, 249 points compared to the 247, and with a 2-assist difference, but obviously a 3-kill, or death difference, I should say, between the two players as well.
Almost neck and neck right there on the stats, at least when it comes to the score and elimination side of things. Romeo was doing a fantastic job with those quick scopes that he was having on a sniper as well. Some really fantastic stuff from him, as he was able to pick up constant frags with the, I believe it was the Barracuda that he was rocking with. We'll probably see the weapons in just a moment, actually, to confirm that. And was really able to make quite a bit of impact, as there's players just getting absolutely deleted as they tried to work their way onto the point.
All right, you can see their weapons here. I mean, that was a relatively close game, though. 100 points separating the two. Considering we've had Lazarus... Well, with Lazarus was first place Cup 2, first place Cup 3, and then in Cup 1 and 4, they unfortunately didn't really make it that far. But they've been, I mean, they should be in form, right? Like, they played in the Pro Series Texas. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of jet lag, but, you know, if I'm here and I'm fine, then I feel like there's not really much jet lag for them either. A little bit of a rocky start, you know? But then again, there's been a lot of days, you know, traveling that maybe you haven't practiced coming into this week, and they're pretty much already almost guaranteed through to Brazil anyways, so
yeah.
I think maybe they're letting their foot off the gas a little bit here.
A few times, they easily have the more secured position compared to their kind of doppelganger team in the number 2 position right now, so they can kind of shrug off these losses without too much to worry about, thankfully, because of the lead they have and because of how close we are to the cutoff point for this season. But still, obviously those mistakes being made and those flanks, you know, almost relying on them in order to actually push the point successfully a lot of the time is going to become a bad news for them as we move on to further maps. These are going to be very much front and center duels, not a whole lot of possibilities, like you were mentioning earlier, for flanks to even work because of how small the map is going to be moving on to our second map. So they're going to have to hone that in and kind of worry more about the kind of tactical fighting they'll have to take moving on to TDM coming up here. Yeah,
and we should be hopping in a second. I think we're just waiting for DustTwo to ready up and we can get things underway. We still obviously have a couple more matches coming up after this. We have Knights up against forZe as the next match, and then we move it into our third place match. So the loser of this match, obviously, against the loser of the next. Don't feel like you really need me to explain that to you. I'm pretty sure you guys are smart enough out there to understand how it works. It's mostly for him. So yeah, we should be getting ready. I think Armenian Ace is just needing a quick second, you know, talk some things over. I think they realize, yeah, we're one more map away. And the thing is, the later on we get in the season, the more important it is to perform better in each sequential cup, because you need to be able to claw back and fight back a big point deficit, which is not easy to do, especially when you have the top teams consistently getting into the top spots. It means you have to knock them out super early, and if you get a match against them and you get knocked out by them, then you're pretty much, you know, not gonna have a chance to get into Brazil. So it's this really wild, wild west, everyone for themselves kind of thing towards the end of the season.
All right, guys, we're just a couple seconds away from starting this. It actually looks like we were about to start it, but I think we had like a wrong map or something like that. So we're just working on fixing that issue really quickly, and then we'll be jumping right back into it once again to see map number 2 conclude. Like you were mentioning, we'll move on to our other semifinal and our third place and final matches afterwards. We got a nice broadcast here for you today. Unfortunately, we're only focusing on the European side of things, so we're probably not going to jump over to the NA side to cover that too much today.
We know who's going to win anyways from Impact.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they dropped one map. No, they didn't drop a map.
At the LAN finals?
Yep.
Yeah.
They also played one less game than a couple of other teams because they were pitted through to the semifinals off the bat because of seeding, but they didn't drop a single map.
Well, it's a fantastic run for them, of course, and certainly going to be confidence boosting, especially as they go back to the online cup starting tonight. But like I said, we'll start covering them probably from next week onward once again, and we'll get a better picture for how They're holding on to it.
Every other week. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not like we're doing NA every week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Just making sure.
Got you covered. But this match, the second map, is just a few seconds away, ladies and gentlemen, so do be sure to stick with us here as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the matchup.
I do just love how it takes teams so long to get ready sometimes. But when you're on LAN, you know, at the event, it's just like, no, you have
It's because you got the admin standing behind them, they intimidate, you know? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's get with it.
Yeah.
Get with the program.
See, I would be a terrible admin. That's why I'm a caster. If I was an admin, I would DQ teams like this. I would punish teams so quickly and so fiercely. I would rule with an iron mouse.
I like that adjustment there from Iron Fist. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Fist might have been a little bit too violent in this context, so.
I mean, they're shooting each other and throwing grenades at each other.
Yeah.
Is the fist really that violent? They're knifing each other?
Iron Knife, maybe. No, I like the Iron Mouse better. Let's just stick with that. And forget I said Iron Knife. That's probably.
I didn't hear you say anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now we're waiting on Lazarus. Now we're getting both teams trying to ready up. It's a little button you hit to hit ready.
It's usually green, and it might say ready on it.
Depending on what language.
It said ready in your local language. Possibly.
So what happens when teams aren't ready up and we have to fill air for quite a long time is we talk about random things.
What random thing would you like to talk about?
Okay, I got one.
What's up?
As we're just about to go in the game. It's about pizza.
Got nothing.
It's about pizza.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a moment if we have to fill for a little bit longer into maybe some later matches. We're actually ready. We're going to drop it into our second map here between Lazarus and DustTwo. It's going to be Old Factory. It's going to be a little bit of TDM, some classic matches in FPS, and we'll see how this one goes.
This made me hungry now.
Hungry dough? You don't even eat the crust anyways.
The action has begun in the meanwhile, and at the moment, it is all DustTwo to start things off. Romeo will find the first trade, however, for Lazarus. He'll pick up a smooth 15 points off of that one, but the opening fight has pretty much gone entirely in DustTwo's direction. Lazarus trying to find a way to sort of poke into DustTwo here, but there's not much of a reason to do it. There we go. Now is when the trades will start to come in, but not so quickly. Spleen and Doran have been able to trade some of these frags back into their favor, and they're keeping up, but are still slowly losing ground on this lead right now as Lazarus inch up. We are going to see some nice nades getting chucked in to actually hold the DustTwo players in spawn. Lord Mono even tries to push close to the chest. He's really forcing the issue here to block these guys into a small angle, and this may just work to allow Lazarus to push ahead, or not, as we see 2 or 3 consecutive kills coming out from DustTwo there.
You know, Guns of Boom is like a pizza.
How?
I could explain it. I've thought it out.
I think you kind of need to explain it.
I could, but I need to wait until the map's over because
Pretty lengthy explanation.
It is pretty lengthy. 130 points, 159 now to 123. DustTwo do have a lead, be able to fight their way out of their own spawn like you mentioned before. And again, look at that elimination feed constantly going the way of red here. The problem is now they're not going to be too healthy. Or actually, yeah, you see the Spleen very low on HP. You can see Armenian Ace a little bit low on HP as well, but hey, don't tell him that because he gets another elimination on Tamano.
Doran as well is going to be able to find another pick there with the sniper. Romeo trades it back, though, finally knocking Doran out of the fight. But still, a pretty consistent lead has been established at this point for DustTwo, and it's not looking like it'll be challenged anytime soon, unfortunately, by the players on Lazarus. Even when they are trading, DustTwo always seems to get the edge on them by a few frags here. But that's going to change. I believe a full team wipe comes out right there for the guys on Lazarus, so a big change up now to potentially allow them to get back into the game. Doesn't look like a whole lot of damage was returned on Lazarus either, meaning they should still be in relatively okay shape to fight as they rush out of spawn.
See Doran going to the high ground here. A couple of flashbangs being thrown in towards the new Lazarus players waiting off to the side. I mean, Ace opens up, and again, we do see a 2-for-1 exchange and a 4-for-2. In the end of things, it looks like DustTwo will come out in the lead. Still 317 points to 258. You see Doran on the high ground trying to, again, play from range here. Trying to put some early damage before there's actually a fight kicking off between the two teams. But Doran's being pressured on the high ground. He's been dropped down to a little bit of lower on HP. He's eventually going to be cleaned up by Romeo. And Armenian Ace on the flank.
Gonna run right up here, pick up a quick frag against Divine King to knock him out, maintaining that lead even further. Excellence also gonna follow the fast turnaround, but some great explosive damage coming in from Romeo. Also gives him probable assist against the Spleen right there, as he's gonna be knocked out probably from that damage too. Sergio with a nice shot. Able to quickly take Lord Mono's head right off his shoulders. But still, DustTwo holding a consistent 50 or so point lead. And it's not showing any signs of growing beyond that, as they are now less than 100 points away from closing out the map and the match in a 2-0 fashion.
Still potential though for Lazarus. Okay, I was going to say that, but of course, coming through his curses, Doran gets himself a nice double. He's been really stepping up so far today. I can see why DustTwo has been able to get this far already and potentially now into the finals. They're 65 points away from closing that one out. Let's see though, you can see Lazarus trying to fight their way back in. They do get 3 quick eliminations and the double as well, so get some extra points on the side. But the Spleen's going to be there, and the Spleen will respawn, showing he's still going to be useful here within the human body. Wait, the Spleen is useful. Never mind. See, it's a gallbladder. No, what is it?
Appendix, I believe,
is
useless.
Well, he's useful. Not like his cousin, the appendix. But Doran again, he's just constantly chiming with eliminations. Now they need 16 points left to close this one out here, and it's going to be almost certain victory here for DustTwo.
Lazarus basically falling back into nearly their spawn at this point because they just don't have a choice. They can't hand over a single point, literally, to DustTwo. Otherwise, the game will be over. And speak of the devil, and there you get it. DustTwo close out with 509 points, taking control of our opening series of the day, 2-0, moving them on to the grand finals and dropping Lazarus into the 3rd place match.
Yeah, some place they haven't been too often. They were there in the 1st week, and they were not even close to it in the 4th week, actually. They didn't even make it in the top 4. So well done by DustTwo, actually. But now they're going to have a harder test ahead of them, either Knights or forZe, as it will be our next match. The winner goes on to play against DustTwo in the finals, and loser has to play against Lazarus. We see Romeo and Armenian Ace, the big standouts for both these two teams. I still say Doran. I mean, even though he wasn't number 1 in score, he had a couple of amazing shots yet again. He was doing flawless on Paradise Island, but Armenian Ace really stepped up with some great flanking play. I think it was him and the Spleen working together to make something like that happen, though we only did see it once or twice. What I'd like to have seen, though, Blue, if I was DustTwo and Lazarus were basically like in their spawn because they realized one more elimination and it's over, or one more death and it's over, I would have just sat in my own spawn if I was DustTwo.
Yeah.
You know how tilted Lazarus must get from that? How annoyed they would get from
just
using their
don't
own
fight
spawn?
him.
Yeah, just don't fight him. Just wait out the next 50 seconds. I would do that. I think it's a legitimate strategy to get in the heads of enemies.
Go for the full tilt control right there, basically.
Yeah. So you don't know why Guns Boom is like pizza?
Yeah, explain this real quick.
So, well, my question to you first is, what's more important to you, the dough or the sauce?
The sauce, 100%.
Okay. So the dough is just like standard aiming skills when it comes to Guns Boom, right? And the pizza's in general a team, right?
Yeah.
So the dough's just kind of like your standard aiming skills, which everyone should be able to have like a decent quality.
It's the foundation.
Yeah, it's a foundation, a
Okay,
decent
got
quality,
it.
right? And the sauce, that's the synergy between you and your team. If you have a really good synergy, the pizza's going to be mamma mia.
Molto bene. That's for pasta, I'm pretty sure. But
Thank you, Blue, for your addition to this conversation. The cheese, I think
cheese.
the cheese.
Is it actual cheese, or you just use cheese strats?
No, it's actual cheese. The actual cheese for pizza, I feel like, is generally going to be, it's not synergy. So I don't know what cheese is. I know what the toppings
You already used
are.
synergy for the sauce.
I know, it's the sauce.
Yeah.
So I'll skip the cheese for now. We'll come back to cheese in a second. That's a weird pizza.
It's a weird pizza.
Toppings are like the players who can just pop off out of nowhere. Sprinkle a little toppings to make the pizza even better. The pizza's already good. You just need, sauce. Well, right now we have sauce and dough. We don't have cheese. We have toppings. That's it's a weird pizza.
It's really
I
weird
would
red pizza.
I would say like the cheese. It's like deep dish. It's just
It's a lactose intolerant pizza.
no. There's cheese. There's cheese, and then the cheese I would say is probably the communication within your team. Because you don't necessarily need to communicate, but it makes things better when you can.
Got it.
Just like cheese makes pizza better.
I think that makes sense. I'll go with it.
Okay.
Well, there we
You know
go.
what? We're going to head to a break. When we come back, we'll be kicking off our second semifinal of the day. I can see production just shaking their heads at me. So we'll get off camera, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Well, you see Noble there cheering on the stage at Katowice, but unfortunately they will not be cheering here today as they have already been knocked out earlier on in the tournament. Just making sure, looking at my notes, that I was completely not wrong and looked like a giant idiot, like my pizza analogy that I made before. But yeah, they will not be there. And unfortunately, Nokia was not enough to help Unbreakable get through in Texas. Spoiler alert, a little bit late on that one. To make it through past the semifinals where they lost to, I believe it was Impact, if I'm not mistaken. I can just take a look really quickly.
Yes, you're correct.
Genius. Genius. So now we're moving into our next game. It's going to be Knights up against forZe. And, you know, I want to say that forZe should be pretty obvious victor in this one. Like, there should be no way that they lose this one. Knights currently in 6th place. But as I say that, Knights did make it through into 2nd place in Cup 4. But then again, Lazarus and forZe both did not make it into the top 4 in that cup. So I kind of question whether or not those two teams came in heavily prepared. But I want to see. Maybe Knights can fight back. Maybe they have a chance here to break it through into the finals where they'll be joining DustTwo, who are currently waiting. But if they can't, Lazarus. So you look like you're in really deep thought when you're looking straight ahead. Lazarus will be waiting for them in the bottom half of the bracket.
Do what I'm supposed to, Jason. Eyes on the camera.
Which camera? There's like literally 3.
I think I was actually looking at the wrong camera, so I was actually not doing what I was supposed to do. So I'll take back what I said. Because I thought we were on the close shot. We're on the. It's the top one right now, isn't it?
Wait, is it the right
I'm
one?
looking at the top one right now.
No, it's not the top one.
It's the bottom one?
If I'm pointing the top one, my hand's too high. It's the bottom one.
The bottom one's the wide shot. Wow, I've been looking at it wrong literally the entire time I've done the show.
Bottom one.
All right. So, there's that.
There is that.
Apparently, I've never looked at the correct camera up until this point, so just want everybody to know
something every day. You know, maybe that's why that workshop coming up is for you. Maybe. Who knows? I don't. So yeah, we are waiting for the teams to, I guess, ready up here. Having a little cheeky conversation in chat, just looking at what's going on here. The maps will be Paradise Island, Old Factory, and Europe Squares. So King of the Hill, TDM, Control. You just don't like looking at me.
No.
I feel personally attacked when you're looking at the camera more than you look at me.
It's just being focused on our show, you know? I can hear you.
What? So maybe
your audio goes through this wire down into the box and into my ear, so I can hear it.
That's technically not how it works. But maybe you're not looking at me because you'd have to like tilt your head up. Maybe that's the problem.
Is that another short joke?
Well, I mean, look at the camera. My chair's all the way down. Your chair's all the way up.
I gotta back straight. Posture, good.
Should I sit straight then?
You are sitting straight.
No.
Sit straight. Do it. Well, you're just like up and out.
I know.
I
was sitting straight. Why are you going to call me out like that? I'm not that tall upper body. It's all my legs. Anyways, are they ready to go? I feel like we need to revamp the show and only come back when the teams are about to start the game.
I think they're getting close. We got them on the lobby. It's just a matter of getting everybody readied up now. So if the players are listening...
I know. They were told 10 minutes ago that invites are coming in 5 minutes. So...
That means that they should be ready right now. But they're not.
No?
Got about 3 of them.
I don't think anyone's readied up. I think I saw like 2. Maybe 1. Maybe 3.
3.
4? Can we have 4? We got 5.
5.
We get 6?
Better.
No.
6 is
so Hale's
much,
back.
apparently.
Hale's back, though, for forZe. He was not, unfortunately, able to go to the event in Texas, the Pro Series event. Excellence did fill in for him from Lazarus, and as we saw, they did drop short in the semifinals. A little bit sad, though, because both of the European teams dropped to both of the American teams. So it's kind of interesting that we have North America be such a strong region when it comes to Guns of Boom. We're typically, I guess...
Say baby.
Are you trying to flex?
I don't work out at all, so there wouldn't have been anything.
I don't know what...
So.
Yeah... If I flex my shirt, it's going to rip. I'm pretty
There's
sure.
nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just more the gesture than anything. But here we go, guys, into the match. And let's get right into it as Dobar is going to start things off with the first strike. Manages to take out Pelox, and it is looking like Knights of Honor are going to be able to get the initial cap. Will it stay that way, though? Not looking like it. Stason will move in to try and steal it away. It gets contested by T-Mac. Not successfully, though. He starts to work back into his direction, but he's going to get dropped a moment later by Pelox.
Oh, Johnny gets a triple limb right at the last few seconds. And they're going to point back here. forZe is going to be one's on the back foot, down 100 points. Most of that due to that elimination streak we did have, though. But I wonder if they're going to be able to fight back into this. I would imagine Sosa's not far by, not that far behind. However, they need to have a good start, a good little initial push in towards the point, and they keep being cleaned up constantly. Yes, they have 2 players on the point, but those 2 players should be cleaned up. Hello, Dobar. Just shoot at them. There we go. Comes through. Notorious gets a double. And well done. They're going to maintain control and double the points of forZe. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is a good showing once again for the Knights of Honor. It's what we saw 2 weeks from them as well. This is a team that's really shot up in recent weeks and has been doing fantastic, even against some of these kind of legendary European rosters like forZe that have seemingly dominated these cups up until this point. Knights of Honor is looking like a new contender. Unfortunately, it seems like they started winning maybe just a little bit too late to try and work their way into the top 2, but at minimum they can mess up forZe's rankings, try to bring them down a little bit, and see if maybe they can slip in these last few weeks here.
I just want to know if forZe just had a rough start, and that's what's caused them to be so far behind, or if actually Knights are just playing that much better than them. So we have seen, like, typically when it comes to, like, control, if you have a bad start, you stay behind for a couple of minutes, and then you have the chance to actually overpass them and overtake them once you get, something going. Pellock's going to be very low in HP, and eventually going to be finished off by T-Mac. And now forZe is finally able to get control of the point, but can they maintain it? I would say so. Dejani should not be able to take down Deadly here, but he does have the backup of Dobar, and I think they're going to take this one back. Look at that. They got one elimination. They took the point.
This is fantastic stuff here for the Knights of Honor. Pellock's though going to run up, tries to sneak onto T-Mac. He will take a decent amount of damage as T-Mac notices it, which will get traded out on right now. Doesn't seem to matter though. Even with Knights of Honor losing the cap here in these next few moments, they've got a lot of respawns coming back up. Dobar, I think, recently spawns. We should have a little bit of healing power to work with. T-Mac though, gonna walk into the gauntlet it seems, but he survives. Comes out on top with some assistance from Pellox to pick up the actual frags, and now Stason, front and center, is gonna trade shotgun blows with his opponent, leaving only T-Mac on the point for Knights of Honor.
T-Mac's just trying to hide, though, trying to buy some time. Comes around the corner. Hale's going to get the shot, though, and force another player to come onto the point. He's going to get a second. Dejani's going to fall, and Hale's pretty much a one-man wrecking crew. Eventually, he will fall. The point will be in the hands here of forZe, and now they have the chance to finally dissipate this lead that Knights of Honor just been running away with. They're like 230 points shy, 220 points shy of finishing off this map, but I don't think forZe are going to let this one happen.
T-Mac going to be able to walk up and get at least 1 kill for free. It's not long until he's traded back. Hale here on the balcony. He's been doing a lot of damage for free. And actually, this is a great job by forZe of holding back pretty much a full respawn wave from the Knights of Honor. Knights of Honor kind of need to take a moment to themselves here, re-coordinate their push, or try to catch forZe as they're being over-aggressive. You can see Pellox even going on a streak there, too. They're really building it up. The thing is, they're starting to push that advantage. This is where the mistake could be made. They need to do this, though, in order to close the gap relatively quickly. You mind, we've only got a minute and a half left. Knights of Honor still have the lead by a little under 100 points. Now down to about 50, but this is the issue. They've over-pushed their aggression, and have now they don't have the manpower to hold on to the point. So it is going to flip back over to the Knights of Honor. We could see it go the other direction relatively quickly, though, as it is looking like forZe are starting to push back in and have pretty much got the decap already. But no, it's going to be stopped here as forZe move in, and there we go. They're able to steal away the hill.
The thing is, they can win just based off eliminations here. 966, the point going to be turned over. They have to contest this. They cannot afford to let the points go. The thing is, they have to be so careful about how they do it, because if they fall, or if they lose the point just like that, we're going to see Knights of Honor take our first map here in this series and not be 1 map away from getting through into the finals, something I did not expect to say in back-to-back cups.
Yeah, I mean, a great adjustment from forZe in the mid-game there to come back so close and only lose it by about 100 points, but considering they were down by like 300-400 points at the start, they kind of dug themselves into a hole that was just too difficult to dig out of there.
Yeah, they were down by, it was like 350 to like basically 700.
Yeah.
Like, that's, for them to actually take that lead or that deficit to just sub 100 points is pretty damn good, and it shows how powerful I think forZe can be.
But at the same time, big surprise again from the Knights of Honor here, keeping up their performance from previous weeks that we saw where they were able to sneak into a second-place finish a few weeks ago against Lazarus, if I remember it correctly. And now, once again, they're trying to take down forZe to potentially do the same thing, or maybe even one-up themselves and go for the title this week. You can see T-Mac led the charge for the Knights of Honor with 12 eliminations and 226 points. Hale from forZe managed to beat him out just slightly, once again, very close between our 2 top players. Same thing, 12 eliminations. But 3 more points than we saw T-Mac able to pick up.
We had that happen in our last series as well between 2 players, like 2 or 3 points between the 2. Apparently, some players want a little bit of a break here before we get underway with our second map. So I think they have about 3 minutes to actually sort some things out, and I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully they get it sorted quickly, though. But 1,001 to 904. I don't know what's going on within Europe, but it's just for some reason, this is just the wonkiest region where you just can't call the top 4 any of the weeks. Like, it's just constantly ever changing. I mean, Noble's been top 4 twice, and they're the ones who played and won at Gods of Boom in Katowice. Like,
I mean, I guess to a certain extent you could say it's a good thing. because that means, in my eyes at least, that means the region's far more competitive. That means that there's less consistent results, but it could also mean the teams themselves are less consistent. And that's where this becomes a bad thing, obviously, if teams aren't able to pull off results against teams they should be beating relatively consistently. And that means we're looking at teams that could run into those same issues on LAN, just like we saw back in Texas, where a lot of the European teams dropped out in the semifinals and weren't able to make it any further.
On that note, though, out of all the teams we had there, only 2 teams had their full rosters, and 2 of those teams were from North America. One team, Simplicity, did have a sub in. So I almost want to say, like, it's hard to judge. Like, oh, you know, everyone's gonna say, oh, North America the best region, but at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, but they're also 2 of the best teams in North America with no roster changes, no substitutes coming to the event. So it's really hard for me to gauge that. But at the same time, I don't want to take away, you know, from Impact winning.
Of course, yeah,
because they did, you know, destroy everyone. And they did beat their counterparts in North America 4-0. So obviously you're going to be the best team. And when we get into Brazil, I think they are currently qualified at the moment. They're definitely top 2. I think they're number 1. I'm interested to see if they can do it yet again, and preferably against like 2 Brazilian teams. I don't know how many teams from each region are going to be going, but I would imagine since you're in Brazil, there probably should be 2 teams from Latin America going.
Yeah, I guess we'll figure that out, of course, in a little bit and see who exactly is going to be making themselves through to those finals as we inch closer and closer towards it. But we're still focused here on our weekly cups right now, where we have the Knights of Honor going up against forZe. Knights of Honor cutting ahead, almost in surprising fashion here on map number 1, and now they're about to shift over to TDM, where they have the chance to close this out 2-0. Keep in mind, though, their opponents were still doing a great job of controlling territory and kind of moving a line of scrimmage, so to speak, across the map. They did a great job of slowing the game down and kind of taking it into their own control, and I think that that's a skill set that's going to be easily transferable over to a TDM matchup, and that's where the tables could turn, and we could see forZe take more dominant control over the second map when we do get into it.
It could be. I'm curious, though, because they've been using Pelox instead of Xanteras. Xanteras, I think, is the one that's been normally one of their main players. Maybe they're just trying out someone new on the roster. Not exactly sure, because it's not their standard 4, if I remember correctly. And the Knights of Honor, I'm pretty sure this is like their standard 4. But we're actually loading in, so we should be able to hop into our next match in just a few seconds. And again, it's going to be TDM. We're going to see if it's going to be a 2-0 sweep for Knights, or if we go into a third map by forZe taking this in force.
All right, guys, so let's get into it here. We've got both of our teams out onto the board. It's going to be, we'll start from the perspective of, well, both of them just kind of running into each other as we normally end up getting on this map, and it's going to be pretty back and forth. 2 for 2, it looks like, on either side of this one. 29-27, but it'll slowly shift into forZe's favor, though, as they pick up the next kill. But again, very back and forth. Neither team able to get a huge advantage at the start here, it seems.
See how careful they are actually grinding these corners. You see Dobar just trying to make sure to cover all the angles, so we can get that first tick of damage. And considering how the game works, that first tick of damage is going to be the most important tick, most likely. Unless you're not going to be able to hit the headshots that the enemies are able to.
Let's see, just get stabbed in the face like that as well. Dobar moving up, is able to knock out Hale. They've got these opponents kind of spawn locked right now, but Dobar doesn't have any shields left, so he's going to fall back, get himself behind better coverage in order to play off that later on in the round and kind of just to unnaturally extend his life force a little bit by staying out of combat. Still incredibly neck and neck. No clear leader yet. It's only been about a 5 or 6 point lead. It does seem like forZe are very slightly starting to cut ahead here. We'll see if that continues to be the case, or if, well, that's going to happen. Notorious picking up a quick double elimination. He'll get the bonus points from that, and that'll not only tie his team back up, but push them into the lead by about 10 to 20 points.
Maybe try to hold their spawn, too, and try to get some damage. And he does have some backup. 2 players going to go to high ground, potentially 3. He's going to go for the flank here towards the 3 players on high ground. He's not been spotted out. And you know what? They don't even need him, technically, because Dejani gets himself an elimination streak. And it's now 230 to 162. Stayson on low HP. Just almost needs to just get himself eliminated so he can respawn back in with his team to push. But this is not looking good at all here now. 100-point difference between the 2 teams.
Huge cutaway, really, in these last minute or so from the Knights of Honor, especially with the spawn flank happening. And we're just constantly seeing their players getting melted out. forZe are starting to battle it back a little bit, as unfortunately, players are still slowly going to run out of capability to fight as they use their heals further and further into the matchup here. And will eventually just kind of run out of stamina and die by circumstance here. But Knights of Honor are doing a great job of really getting the maximum value out of each and every life they're coming onto the board with here. T-Mac working with the sniper, able to pick up another one. Notorious defends the short-range flank as he takes out Stayson. That still allows them to hold a lead by over 100 points now against forZe, which coming off of the coming off the King of the Hill match, you might not think 100 points is a whole lot, but here in TDM, that is a massive lead.
Yeah, it's huge, and for a team like this to do it against one of the best teams in Europe against forZe is not an easy feat. They're actually going to be falling behind. Actually, no, back to
Still at
exactly
100
100. And the thing is, with the rate it's been going for the last half a minute to a minute, if Knights just keep trading 1 for 1, they're going to win this one.
Pretty much. They can play this really slowly at this point. They can sit back, kind of just let forZe push into them. forZe have a little bit of a death ball rolling around the map right now. They got to be careful of that. This is an easy way for them to roll back into the matchup as well. But Notorious constantly making the difference, it seems, with that Shoddy picking up another double elim before going down, pushing his team into the 400 mark. Johnny pushes it up to 450, where they're just a few points away now from closing out here and getting another fast 2-0 against forZe.
This would be so awkward because it could potentially be Lazarus and forZe meeting in the 3rd place match instead of the finals that we're used to seeing them. Look at this, Angle not even being checked. Notorious gets another easy elimination. And around the corner, Deadly's low on HP. He gets that one as well. One more could close this out. You can see him trying to heal up constantly. And it's not going to matter because one of his teammates is going to finish off the last elim they needed. And Knights are going to take the victory here and get themselves through in back-to-back weeks into the finals.
It's a big deal. We talked about it before. They're a team that only holds, I think, like number 5 or 6 currently on the leaderboard, sitting pretty low in comparison to a lot of the other teams we have here in the semifinals right now. But this is 2 cups in a row now where they've been able to run over one of our top 2 teams, especially in this case here in the TDM matchup, and push themselves into the grand finals. The question, however, is whether they can still get past Lazarus, which was their obstacle in the previous week that we saw them here in the finals as well. So that test will be coming up a little bit later on the stream. But now we have our 3rd place match set. It's a bit of an ironic one as it's our top 2 teams in the region. Neither one of them making it to the finals this time.
So just for insight here, Knights automatically get 75 points now at a minimum for qualifying just through 1st or 2nd place. That takes them to 200 points. That puts them ahead of Noble. It well, they're still 50 points behind DustTwo, but it also closes the distance between them and forZe from 100 points down to 50. So if they can continue to do that, if Lazarus and forZe cannot make it through to the finals, these next few weeks, we could potentially be seeing some new top dogs, some new top 2 teams who will be qualified into Brazil. This thing, it's really breaking down to these final weeks, which is really nice considering how things started. I thought it was just going to be forZe and Lazarus winning the entire thing like we see over in North America, but it's good to see there's a lot of competition here in Europe.
Weapons are a little bit odd here, too. Not a single Odin in the assault rifle lineup. Everyone was using Incinerator. I guess we've seen that more and more just because the dot is so powerful. And then
also the hiding factor of you can shoot
down
a corner really easily.
A lot of peek, unpeek kind of fightings
exactly.
right there. And then also just in that sniper lineup there, too, a whole lot of Thanatos is coming in. We normally actually don't even see the Thanatos brought in more often. Normally it's 4 scouts and a Barracuda. So
I mean, with the new Avengers coming out less than a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's topical, right?
Yeah, it's topical.
Yeah.
It is topical. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to head to a break. When we come back, we'll be going to our 3rd, 4th place match with forZe up against Lazarus. And then after that, we'll be heading into our grand final to see who wins Cup number 5. We'll see you guys in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns Boom Challenger Series Spring Season with Jason Kaplan and Blue.
And Blue! I was gonna... Sorry. I thought you were gonna leave that open for me. I'll just go away now.
Could you?
I mean, I might be able to.
You have to cast this next match like that.
I'll just sit down here for this match. I've earned it.
It looks so much cozier, though.
This is my... I'm sorry. I keep looking at the shot. Just hanging out, you know? Just...
The best part is, like, your head looks smaller than mine now, and, like, your whole body looks smaller than mine.
Just chilling
like,
down here, folks.
Yep, just here with my son casting some Guns Boom. So I'm going to be forced up against Lazarus in our fourth place match. Yeah, you heard it right. Fourth. If you sit up.
Okay. It's going to take a sec. Go. Keep going. There we go. Jeez.
Is that all the way?
No, it's not, actually. I can go higher.
Go higher.
Okay, it was like a centimeter.
It was our fourth place match, and that is not a mistake. They are not in the finals. They actually lost out in the prior match to just join us, and they have to battle it out for third place, which is something I don't really expect to say too often when it comes to these two teams. But they still at the moment are the two teams qualified through for Brazil.
Our Titans have fallen from grace slightly, it seems. Yeah, that's all good. We did have a little snack in the break there. We got to eat, too. But yeah, our Titans have kind of fallen down a few steps in the ladder here, at least for this week, of course. And we are going to see them drop down into the third-place match. And some new dogs are going to be in the finals a little bit later on. But they've got a chance, and we already talked about the implications for Knights, where they could earn some serious points and start to cut ahead. Not necessarily take a second place away from anyone just yet, but that possibility starts to open up as we enter next week and possibly the week beyond that as well.
So what were you saying about Titans?
They've fallen from grace.
So like the planet Titan, where
how many Avengers references
Thanos is from, it just collapsed. Like our unfortunate Titans of Guns Boom here in Europe, they collapsed over a little bit overpopulation, and the Reality Stone won't bring their chances back to life of getting through to first or second place.
But with the Reality Stone, you can make reality whatever you want. So your point doesn't really stand, unfortunately.
This is from the guy who hasn't seen Captain Marvel yet.
In terms of like lore accuracy, and I just having a chance. I've been busy. I've been working nonstop the last month and a half now.
Yeah, but reality exists in what dimensions?
I don't know. When did multiple dimensions come into this conversation? You've just thrown it off now.
Of course, there's multiple dimensions.
In what universe?
In the Marvel. What? Every universe. Okay. See the writing here. This is two-dimensional.
Yeah. But alternate universes.
What's one-dimensional?
Alternate universes don't have anything to do with dimensions, though.
What's one-dimensional? I didn't say alternate universe.
Just up and down or side to side by itself.
So two-dimensional.
So it's literally like a line. 1D is like a line, basically.
And 2D is Y and X axis.
Yeah.
3D is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So then what's 4D?
X, Y, Z, and I think it becomes A at that point traditionally. I'm gonna be honest, because it's like we don't know.
There's extensive research into
like you can kind of calculate it, but it's all theoretical at this point, since we obviously don't have any proof a fourth dimension exists. So there's theories, and there's pretty logical sounding theories about what the fourth dimension would
not seen
potentially
Interstellar?
look like or how it is computed. Yeah, but the thing is though, is that's not actually like the fourth dimension. They even explain in the movie. They say that they've made their four-dimensional space three-dimensional so that we can comprehend it. That's the thing with four-dimensional is that humans this is turning into a very deep conversation, by the way. But
we're still waiting for Lazarus to ready up.
But that's the thing with four dimensions is that we as humans do not have the mental capacity to comprehend a fourth dimension, even if we saw it before our eyes. We
have the mental.
Even if we saw it, we wouldn't know what it was. That's the thing.
It's like a black hole.
No, black hole is a whole other subject. You're just following the interstellar plot line. The black hole had nothing to do with the fourth dimension.
The black hole idea came up actually because of the recent picture we had.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was a very blurry picture. I thought it was going to be a lot clearer than that, to be honest, when I saw that photo.
It's pretty far away.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, right? I'm not faulting it. I was just it's just blurry. It's cool. And that was the end of my thoughts on it. But that's going to be the end of my thoughts on this entire subject. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to go into our match. We're heading into our third place match, which means the series now expands. It moves from a best of 3 to a best of 5. Our map rotation, as you probably have told, is also going to change, and we're going to move to Farming Complex first instead of Paradise Island.
So Hawkeye's homeland here is now forZe going to be in the lead at 110 to 86. Don't worry, we'll be on skyscrapers later on, which is where obviously Tony Stark has been known to roam. Military warehouse, actually, where Captain America's from, if you didn't know. But forZe, with the initial control towards
from
B.
Brooklyn.
Where do you think Military Warehouse is?
Not in Brooklyn.
It's not Detroit.
Be like in a field somewhere outside of New York. But anyway, we've got initial.
Have you never seen a Daredevil?
Which one?
Not the Ben Affleck one.
Okay.
The good one?
I've seen like 2 episodes.
That's DC. No, I just ruined it. No, it's Marvel.
Yeah, no, he's Marvel.
I unruined it, but ruining it.
You're just confusing yourself now.
What was the... You know what? Well, let's down topic. Sorry, let's down topic here. 400 points for forZe, as they have control of C at the moment. You see Divine King trying to flank in towards B, which you should be able to. The thing is, Hale's going to be there, and that grenade's actually, that rocket launcher's going a little bit too far past Stason now. You know, to clean him up. forZe looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah, great control over the situation. I mean, we're like panning to a lot of Lazarus members. You can see they're just getting like wiped one by one off the board, so slightly staggering it a little bit here too is going to be pretty good for them. The spawn wave that comes out right now, though, is a pretty rough one, so they are going to be able to move and get good control of C. They're trying to hold B, but you can see it's really just Lord Mana, so he's really not in a good position to try and push that. Pelox will be able to hold on to it. There's an attempted flank that works its way in. It's going to come down to this 3v1, unfortunately, for Romeo there, so he's not going to stand much of a chance, but Excellence can move in, find the additional trade. They're doing a great job of stopping this cap. B's been contested now for a good 30 to 40 seconds. It does seem like finally was going to go into the blue team's favor, into forZe's favor, but doesn't end up happening. It's just a constant brawl here for the central point.
A lot of resources being thrown in at both teams to try to take control of this point. In the meantime, A's being flipped over, C's being flipped over. You have to wonder, is it worth investing all 4 players into that middle point? And eventually, one team's going to eventually give up on that and actually head up towards these other directions. These other points, 800 to 675. Now Stacy's going to lose out on the 1v1 against Divine King. I guess technically it was a 2v1. The Pelox is trying to fight his way back towards B. The problem is there's 3 players there ready for it. And now Lazarus is going to get a lot of points on the board here with control of 2 points.
Divine King.
All 3 now, actually.
Yeah, Divine King will continue to push himself forward here, trying to lock in the members of forZe out of the situation. And with this, they're about to steal the lead away here right now. This trip cap is finally going to be deteriorated as A is stolen away. However, they're working on taking it right back. It's going to be a little bit of a tough fight, unfortunately, as it's right next to forZe's spawn. This may be asking a bit too much for them, but anyone that's on the field can push directly to the inside of their position and look to take it away. forZe will move to a new spot. They'll try to swing over and steal C away, but A is being doubled down on by Lazarus right now. They just pushed over 1,000, just about 150 more points, and they've got this match, this first map, I should say, in the bag for themselves.
It's a great little, a call actually out of Lazarus to make the push in towards A happen. They knew forZe would be going that direction, so they can test them right off the bat, so they can maintain the fight and maintain control of other points. They've been able to take a massive lead now off the back of this, and they're 50 points away from closing out this map. I feel like Lazarus has got this in the bag. Or in the pizza box, I guess.
It's looking like it now as Lazarus just about 10 points, and they're going to take over it with their final frag. 12:03 to 10:51 is the final score, and Lazarus complete the comeback and come out on top of map number 1 of the series, meaning they're now 2 away from winning this match and taking 3rd place in today's tournament.
They came back from being dead to take the map.
Yeah.
It's a Lazarus pit. DC universe, though. Yeah, so well done by them. And considering how things were going, it's all about that trip cap they pulled off. That trip cap, and then the defense straight into A thereafter, expecting forZe to go that direction. They picked them all off, and then they were able to maintain control for even longer. I think they built up like 200 points, if not more, just from that triple cap alone they did have. You can see Excellence, 226. He actually filled in for forZe in Texas, so he's actually playing against a team he's already played with quite a few times, and of course against many times over these last seasons. You see 203 points for Deadly. Pretty much even across the board in terms of eliminations between these two. Stats are just generally equal. But again, it was all about that trip cap. That's how Lazarus easily stole away. Well, I didn't say easily, but stole away this map. Yeah, especially considering how far ahead it seemed forZe were up until that point, just with their ability to trade. They had about a 100-point static lead going for the entire match, and it came down to that stalemated duel for the B point that went on for a solid minute or so. It was eventually Lazarus that won that, and in the process of all that confusion, they were also able to leverage control of both the side points, really pushing them back into the lead and allowing them to win by about 150 points here. A pretty confident lead, considering that they were down by 100 for pretty much the entire match there. So great job, great recovery from Lazarus, and now it's time to see if they can take that control over to a TDM matchup. It's going to be Military Warehouse that we'll be jumping into for a second map, and that should be only a few moments away. We've already got everybody from Lazarus ready up, so I think we're just waiting on a few people from forZe to hit that green check mark and get themselves ready for the match. And the thing is, Lazarus should win this match. The number 1 overall at 275. They've won 2 out of the 4 cups, where forZe only won 1 of them, and that was the initial one. So they should ideally, based off past history, win this match. I would have said, though, with the initial start I was definitely questioning whether or not they'd be able to take this match. But after seeing them, come together at the last few moments, figured things out, I feel like they should be the team to take third place here. We still have military to come up. We have Saloon, we have Skyscrapers, and Atrium as well. There's still a lot of maps to be played between these two teams. I think we're just waiting on someone to ready up really quickly. Your admin's just sorting some things out, and we should be into this match in a few seconds.
I think we might have been waiting for one player on floors. Was looking like his connection was spiking there for a sec, so we might just be standing by to make sure everything's settled in his department. I think we do have everyone readied up now, though, so it's just a few more seconds away as we wait to start the match, ladies and gentlemen. And speak of the devil, here we go. The players are loading in. It's time for our second matchup. It's going to be team deathmatch between both of these squads, with the potential for Lazarus to push ahead into a map point position if they can win this one. For the guys on floors, they're still looking to just get things started by picking up the first map themselves. Let's see if they're going to be able to do it.
Oh my gosh. Lord Mono just got decimated coming into that room. Luckily for him, but the rest of his team is actually able to pick up the eliminations here. Hale going to be swinging around. Actually coined as like one of the best players, if not the best player on forZe as well. So it's unfortunate he couldn't be there to play in Texas. But you can see 39 points leading his team up against the 55 of Lazarus. Stason trying to go for some snipe shots, which is, I think, what you're going to see quite a bit of when it comes to this map on Military Warehouse. Play the long range, play for that early damage, and then push in for these elims.
Little flank attempt there from Lord Mono. It doesn't end up working out too well, but the burn dot will still at least take out Deadly. They managed to get that in their favor. Divine King with his recent shotgun pickup. Romeo also finding one on the shotty there against Hale. And Divine King will push in, but no, the strike back from Pelox on the knife is going to allow him to win that fight and just barely keep forZe in the lead now by a little under 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we saw, very reminiscent on our last map, where forZe was able to have like a little bit of a lead. Albeit, 10 right now on Control, it's definitely worth, 10 points on TDM is worth way more when it's onto a map like Control. But if Lazarus can keep that pace up, what they did in the last map, we should see them start to build up a pretty big lead here. But Stason come up strong with the sniper. It's a nice shot to Divine King. There's a lot of knifing going on. I mean, it's not called Knifes a Boom, it's called Guns a Boom. What are you guys doing?
Speaking of guns, Pelox is going to be able to fire off some final shots to trade, but he himself is going to find himself traded out a moment later as Lord Mono once again gets it rolling with the shotgun. Quick little rocket launcher shot, nearly manages to take out Deadly, but he's going to be able to get a chance to recover here as it does just a little too little damage to be able to pick up the actual frag. Still pretty much neck and neck here right now. A point apart is what the score was looking like a second ago, although forZe has cut ahead slightly. I would not be surprised if we see that bounce back over the next few moments, and that is exactly what we are seeing as they steal the lead. But again, it's only by about 10 points, so it doesn't mean much at this point with the immediate trade coming in, and now we're just tied.
Yeah, Romeo ended up burning down into Dust, unfortunately, which allowed things to be tied up here between the two. But there's still a lot of time left on the board. This is definitely going to come down to points. See, Divine King gets a nice double here, actually. There's a lot of extra points on his side, but again, the explosions coming in out of Pelox, it ties things up yet again, and there's just constant battle, and yet somehow Lazarus is able to come out with a lead, at least so far.
Stason is going to have to pull back a little bit as after he takes some heat here. Look for a new position to play into, as he does have the majority of Lazarus getting ready to push his angle. It looks like forZe in general are just going to be sitting back. Divine King tries to throw in a rocket. Quick switch over to the shotty will finish off Stason after the rocket damage was done. Deadly wrapping back out, finishes out Romeo, and that's forZe. It's going to be able to push ahead again, though. It's so slight. It's not really a lead that either of these teams can count on at this point. It's due to the trading nature that these TDMs often come down to. They do, however, become the first team to push over 400 as that lead extends slightly. And if they keep this going, they're going to be in a great position to close out map number 2. But again, Lazarus crawl back. A nice shot from Divine King. A headshot as well against Stason. And Lazarus are right back into it.
It's a minute 30 left to go. Technically, Lazarus could play the time here, but that's not something they want to do. You can see Hale hitting a couple of shots here on Lord Mono. Takes it down very low on HP as Lord Mono's trying to fight his way in a different direction. Excellence now. He's got a couple teammates off to his sides looking for the information they need to close this one out. 469 to 482, and just like that, Pelox almost takes him to a one elimination game to close this out, and Lazarus have to be careful. And look at this, forZe immediately going to group up together, make sure they don't get traded one, or if they do get traded, they're going to get traded one for one, and equally more importantly, you can see Excellence just waiting for them to come around that corner. If they have any explosions left, this could be what they need.
Oh, look at this. 499 now for forZe. It's got a perfect aim off onto one player here. Divine King trying to push his way in. There's too much heat, quite literally it seems, as the fireback is coming in. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The players from Lazarus just not able to penetrate into their spawn. So holding back for that last point is all they needed to close out. forZe will take map number 2, tying the series up at 1-1.
So playing smart. I like to see that. You know, thinking back to the Lazarus DustTwo game where DustTwo could have just sat and spawn when they were like 1 point away from winning and be like, all right, you know, we're going to drag this out as long as we possibly can, even though we know we won. But Lazarus being smart, or sorry, forZe being smart in terms of, hey, we have the lead. They have to come to us. We only need one more elimination to finish this off. Let's just play smart. Play the way we know we can to win and force Lazarus to make some mistakes. And they're able to do just that. Pellox coming up massive for his team, 175 points and 11 eliminations with only 7 deaths.
Very close, though, once again, between our two teams, and it really paints the picture of just how down to the wire that was. We were looking at about a 10 to 20 point advantage for either team at most points in the matchup there. forZe was able to push ahead right at the end as they were pushing over 400, but even then, Lazarus crawled back, and we had it tied right around 420 points. It was after this that forZe finally was able to cut ahead enough to be able to close out the match, thus giving them the win for map number 2. But incredibly back and forth just overall there, and like I said, the real story is just how close it was down to the very bitter end of that matchup.
Yeah.
Not really seeing a leader show up until the end when we had the forZe guys holding back in spawn so they could leverage that extra point. That's why they hold back, because it was so close, because if they moved out and they tried to play in the open, Lazarus could have picked up a double or triple elimination and won the game themselves. So really didn't have a choice. Had to try and play that passive if they wanted to ensure the victory at the end of the game.
So we're going to our third map now, Wild West Saloon.
King of the... what? I forgot it.
I don't know. I thought you were about to like jump in and say something.
What did we call this? King of the...
Sheriff of the Hill.
Sheriff of the Hill. That's what we called it. Okay.
You know, just don't listen or care about what I say. I get it, but our lines have been drawn. But this is, if we think back to how controls start off, right, with Farming Complex, imagine how bloody this should be as well. Like, both teams just constantly set players into that B position on Farming Complex. I would imagine to be relatively the same kind of story here. However, Lazarus have the early control. They have an early lead, and they're maintaining control of the Saloon as well. So maybe not. Maybe we're not going to see the big, bloodbath happening on the point.
Yeah, it looks like Lazarus able to get pretty consistent control. The thing is, you've got these constant respawns funneling in for forZe. It looks like, at least in Excellence case, they're able to hold that back. Pellox will now look for the decap. No one standing on the point, despite having 2 players right next to it. So, although we do see Pellox getting taken down, the damage is done. The decap has been had, and the 2 respawns that have moved in have been enough pressure to fully cap the point. Divine King is going to attempt to steal it away. Successful on that. Again, forZe choose not to directly contest the point. Quick recap is going to be gained by Lazarus, and they'll be able to lead by about 100 points because of that.
I saw 2-on-1 there with Divine King. I think that was Lord Mono to pick up that elimination. Divine King just doing as much damage as he can per his life. And it looks like we're unfortunately going to have a little bit of a retake here out of forZe. Yes, fortunately, if you're a fan of them. The Lazarus pushed off a little bit too far off the point, and it cost him the control.
Lord Mono will continue to push himself forward here. Trying to line up a flank against a lot of the members of forZe, but he's not going to be able to find it. Romeo, also with the trade back here too, just brawling on the inside of the Saloon itself. Now he's going to attempt to get the decap on his own. A little bit too low HP to do it, but the cavalry has arrived. Reinforcements have worked their way in the meanwhile, though, you may have noted forZe has really battled their way back onto the scoreboard. But again, all these frags from Lazarus, all these accolades as well, is continuing to push their scoreboard further and further into the lead, just as forZe was about to battle it back into their advantage. Lazarus pushed ahead again by about 40 or 50 points in just a few seconds.
forZe has the advantage right there. They were able to swing around really wide for a lot of cover here, as you can see. They had 3 players on the high ground. They completely clean up Lazarus here and should be able to take the lead off the back of this too. They should even push it a little bit aggressively to get some early damage in. The flank comes through out of Deadly. He's going to unfortunately not win out on that trade as Divine King's going to take him down. But that gap, that 100-point lead we had for Lazarus is going to be completely diminished, as now it's going to be forZe the ones in the lead.
Well, Lord Mono will be the next to fall here, as like you said, forZe finally get their chance to push ahead and give themselves an advantage in this matchup here. You've got Excellence trying to work his way through the Saloon, but he's going to get pincered relatively quickly, with Pellox being able to trade once Excellence finds the pickup against Hale. Romeo next to strike here, knocks out Pellox and won't look for more, but he's got to be careful. Only sitting at about half HP right now. He will eventually get picked off by Stason as the rest of the team falls back.
Yeah, half HP down to 0, unfortunately for him. See Excellence able to chime back in. Excellence trying to fight from a really disadvantageous position. The nade's going to go in. Then she gets finished off, and I think it landed like in the bathtub there, so a little bit of fortune. But Romeo and Divine King again. Divine King is a god here for some reason. He's been just performing so well over the course of this entire series. only has 8 eliminations and 8 assists, but the damage has been done. The elims he's been getting has been fantastic, and he's 40+ points ahead of second place on his team.
Well, he's the king after all, but we'll now see forZe try to push back in and steal away their advantage once again. Lazarus are going to continue to attempt to hold this point, but no, not going to be the case. Oh, wait, maybe a saving grace coming in here. The respawns arrive just in the nick of time. Divine King going to use some extra time to try and chuck a nade out to Deadly. He'll be forced behind the garbage pile, tries to rush back out into the front. We do see the Lord Mono eventually falling due to that nade. Deadly, though, just eating it right into his face. Doesn't seem to matter. Manages to move in with some assistance from his teammates. They'll pick up a lot more kills. They're not cutting close to this advantage yet. They've stopped Lazarus's point climb, at least for now, by stealing the point away. But now they need to get some frags themselves. Lazarus, however, only 1 kill away from closing it out, and they are going to get the job done. 1,006 to 944. Lazarus now take the edge back into their favor and have a 2-1 lead on the series. 1 more map away from solidifying that 3rd place win.
13 elims, if I'm not mistaken, for Divine King at the end. So he went from 8 from when I mentioned him getting that great streak to 13, picking up a quick 5. He's been doing phenomenal. I mean, not only in that map, but so far, of course, the entire series. Yeah, obviously, as we saw in our last map, unfortunately didn't go their way. But like you said, Lazarus now, 1 map away, is going to be moving over into Skyscraper. So back to some TDM. I want to say we're going to be seeing a 5th map. I feel like forZe seem to be the stronger team when it comes to TDM.
But remember how close it was, right? Remember, like, close. How I'm going to be honest, it didn't even seem like there was like a whole lot of structure going on in the first TDM match because of how trade heavy it was. It didn't really seem like either team was able to get into a position where they could make calls, or they could make commands like, oh, group up here, let's push this, because it was so seesawy back and forth between the two teams. If we end up in a situation like that again, to a certain extent, the map may become just a straight up roll of the dice in terms of who's going to take that one, or at least who can get that definitive advantage to finally push ahead by, 50 or 60 points, and then they can adjust their playstyle accordingly.
You can see as well, Pelox, I mean, he had an amazing game. Definitely a standout player for the entire map there in map number 3. You can see the weapons of both teams. But Lazarus, I mean, it's not like they've been able to win easily. It's been relatively close, at least in the 2 maps. First map was a little bit more one-sided, yes. But the last 2, forZe has been really starting to step up here and really starting to take things to the brink. Like, this is probably one of the closest matches we've had, I think, in a very long time, actually.
Yeah, very, very down to the wire. You can see there again with the weapon lineup. A lot of teams just choosing to go for the scout, to deny themselves any sniping presence. Only Stason choosing to go for an actual sniper by bringing the Barracuda into play there. And even so, I don't think we really got to see the Barracuda used all that much. It doesn't seem like the angles on that map played too well into sniping in general, unless you can kind of hold the top saloon position or get another balcony to play off of. So makes sense why we don't see a lot of heavy sniper usage from our teams on that map.
Okay, so we're waiting on 1 or 2 players to ready up, and we should be hopping into our 4th and potentially final map here of our 3rd place match. Remember, we still have the grand finals to come up after this. It's going to be Knights up against DustTwo. You heard it right. Lazarus and we have forZe in the 3rd, 4th place match. And 2 teams. Let's see, DustTwo currently in 4th place and Knights in 6th place. So 4th versus 6th in our finals. That's I guess, to reiterate it once again, like, that's how close, I guess we can say, Europe is. Yeah. How crazy Europe is, where any one of these top 8 teams can break through into the finals at any given week. So let's kick things off. Skyscraper now between these 2. We need Lazarus to take 1 more for a 3-1 sweep, or forZe to take it to our 5th and final map.
forZe just stacking all their players and trying to hold an angle while Stason snipes, and it seems like that plan has actually worked really well. Pelox just racking up frags, a double elimination from him to start the game off. Deadly also able to find 1 too. Lazarus just failing outright until Divine King jumps into the fight and picks up the first frag for his team. It's not long though before we see once again forZe just fragging out. Already up to about a 50-point lead just a few seconds into the game.
Pretty big lead, to be honest. It's eventually going to be turned on, though, as Lazarus gets a nice elimination in the hands of Lord Mono. Stason just dropping from the 2nd floor. Or his 1st floor, depends on where country you're from. But he's eventually going to be finished off. He does get the damage done, at least. It's 1 elimination through. Hale, 22 points for him so far. And now from that 50 points down to 5. And it's kind of how snowball the initial start can be at some points.
Yeah, Excellence just getting melted out there in that fight. Romeo, same fate for him. Lazarus, they're too detached right now. They're trying to play into these individual fights, but either they haven't realized or haven't found a way to counter yet. That forZe is just literally running around with a death ball, and it's working brilliantly. It seems like, however, they've been able to tear it apart, if anything, is slightly here. And if they can capitalize on it with these last few frags, this is how Lazarus can try to forge their way back into the match. But you can see a couple members of Lazarus have also taken some heavy damage, so they don't necessarily want to take the fight either.
Yeah, Excellence got 3 eliminations before he's finished off by Deadly, that you can see there. Nate's going to come in, maybe a little bit misthrown. Divine King and Romeo do pick up the 2 limbs as Deadly got 2 himself. 208 to 182. So Lazarus still maintain the lead, even though we saw, like you said, that death ball out of forZe working its way around the map. Almost like a wrecking ball, someone called Miley Cyrus. I don't know why I said that. I feel so disgusted with myself. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I mean, she's becoming topical again recently, too, if you haven't been following. So
No, I don't follow any.
No. Billy Ray has, anyway. So
I feel like those people aren't really worth our time. There's a lot more important.
listen, man, that was a banger song if you haven't heard it yet. So I'll have to show it to you later.
Wrecking ball?
No! The other one. But we'll talk about it later. We've got forZe once again just barely holding on to their lead with superior positioning at this point. And they are trying to regroup. You're going to see Lord Mono pushing himself forward against Stace. We'll be able to take him out. It's Excellence picking up the actual credit for it as Lord Mono finds the next against Deadly. And it seems finally Lazarus may have found some footing. It's very, very delicate. Same as our last TDM matchup, though, at now about a 5-point deficit.
I'm confused how Lord Mono fell there, actually, because Pelox, like, they knew he was shooting from that angle. Ooh, that's
there it is.
And there you go. Double comes through. 30-point lead now. Can they maintain it? Can they close this out? They were able to do so on the last TDM map in Military Warehouse. Maybe this is their mode. Maybe this is what they need to win. And they're continuing to get these frags, and to continue to get these eliminations, yet somehow Lazarus just constantly keeps responding.
Unfortunately, again, it's just the same thing that I said a few moments ago, unfortunately, but Lazarus is far too detached. See, this is what I like, this big push into the central building. That's oftentimes what determines, in my eyes, who controls this map, is who holds the center building. And Lazarus needed to get aggressive. They needed to push the inside of it. They've done it, but they've taken a lot of damage from it. That's the problem. So now they got to peel back. They got to hope they can survive the next engagement. Romeo ending up in the open for this one. Tries to get the rocket into the open. It's not going to do the damage he needed, though, so Hale takes him out. forZe up to about 450, with Lazarus back behind by about 20 more points.
Oh, they're so low. You can see Stason very low in health. I think Deadly as well was very low. Excellence Divine King getting able to come in here with the last few seconds to get elimination. 459 to 452 with a minute left to go. And you can see now Lazarus trying to push out, trying to get aggressive, trying to finish off these eliminations. It might work out against them, though, as it's going to be another 1-for-1 trade coming through.
Oh, another Lazarus kill being stolen away. Lord Mono knocking out Hale with the dot. They've got a slight lead, but slight is indeed the word. forZe take it right back with Pelox's frag. Excellence being pushed back. He cannot get eaten up by this dot, as otherwise we're going to see forZe come out on top. Just barely. 500 to 482. forZe bring it back, and that takes us to a 5th map.
Didn't I call that?
I think he did.
Thinks I did. So that's confirmation, even though I know I did. The fact that you said you think I did means I definitely did. So TDM.
I just honestly don't remember, but
it's fine. You don't want to play forZe on TDM, even though we said Lazarus come very close in both games now. But just like it's like you said, Lazarus are a little bit too detached, forZe too prepared with their death ball, and clearly the answer just came in a little bit too late though out of Lazarus. But that means we're going into Atrium. This map, I don't know how I feel about this map. This is definitely one of the most one-sided maps we have in the pool completely. We saw it back in Texas. We saw it even before that. I think the initial week that we started things off in the Cup 8 of the Winter Series, or the Winter Challenger Series. But you can see here, big discrepancy in points already. Pelox, 181 to I think it was 150, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that was really the difference here, is I think the individuals had more opportunities to shine on forZe because they were rolling around the map with this death ball, and most importantly had central building control for a lot longer when we compare it to that of Lazarus, who never really, from what I was able to see, ever had control over the situation, was always just trading back for them. You know, fire dot assault rifle becoming quite prevalent here, especially in TDM due to the peak and unpeak nature of the gameplay, with players not necessarily wanting to commit themselves to fights, so the dot helps out quite tremendously, in fact, with making sure that you guarantee those kills. And that's why we see it be so popular on the TDM types.
100%. I mean, that damage can never go underestimated. I'd still love to see, like more in-depth stats, like damage done per life, like average damage per life, because I feel like that's one of like the biggest stats you could ever look at when it comes to Guns of Boom, because all the damage you do is so important, especially when you have limited amount of healing you can do. But either way, we're going to be heading to that 5th map here. A little bit of discrepancy in terms of shotguns, but not too big. Station just switching some things up, trying to be a little bit of a unique snowflake there.
More fire dots, basically, from him.
Come on.
What?
More dots.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Darn. Missed a great opportunity.
I missed those days. All right, so we're going into now this final map. I think everyone's readied up. We should be heading into the lair of Atrium. Atrium's lair.
Wanted to get the Q on the finger point. Didn't happen.
Right now.
See, I had one a few days ago on another show, but I'm not in sync with this crew, so this doesn't happen that quickly here. You, however, did a fantastic.
Yeah, Tomasz is totally on my side.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to him after the chat.
He's nodding his head. Yes, he is.
No, he's shaking it.
Him and I got to spend a lot of great time in.
He's nodding it left to right.
Together. We had a nice little bus ride. He wouldn't let me sit next to him. I was a little sad. Anyways, yeah, you wouldn't let me sit next to you. Don't give me that. Lazarus with a massive lead off the bat. Look at that, 162 to 89. They have control of C. They have almost control of B. As you can see, Lord Mount trying to fight out on this one. Divine King's going to come through and eventually be able to take this point. I like this little push off as well to make sure to get the elimination onto Deadly. So they have the man advantage. Look at the Excellence comes in from behind, and just like that, they have over a 100-point lead.
It's a huge push forward here from Lazarus, and now it's a matter of trying to work off of this, trying to build this lead. They have great control. The rotation capability is looking good right now, too. You can see Pellock trying to run around, but Romeo has got far too good of control of the situation. You can see Romeo just able to poke from off the site as well with the RPG, moves in to be able to take out Deadly. And unfortunately, our forZe members just not really able to find a whole lot here. It seems like they're all on their own. They're all, I mean, the same problems that Lazarus suffering for in our last match on TDM here, where it's just all players alone trying to see if they can sneak off frags and steal points away with that, but it's not really working, unfortunately.
Yeah, again, this is like one of the most one-sided maps. We've seen so many big victories. Oh, hello, turn around. There you go. Hey, nice little combo, little help out of Lord Mono to help out Excellence. But you see these big leads, and I think it's really hard to call this map because B obviously between A and C. The thing is, A and C both give you the high ground over B, gives you the Overwatch position of it. So it's really hard to take this B position as you see the teams constantly fighting out from this one. So you see a lot of like back caps, a lot of A and C control. And you can see at the same time, 3 points almost going fully red there.
But it's still very much in the favor of Lazarus, continuing to push ahead. This is one of the most solid leads we've seen from either team so far in the series so far, with Lazarus holding a lead by nearly 300 points here over forZe at the moment. Fantastic stuff from them. It was looking like they might have been losing control of their AB control points for a moment, but no, they battled it right back, and it's forZe with nothing to show right now. A full triple cap once again from Lazarus.
These points are going to trickle up. Look at that 30-point jump coming through with the eliminations. Another 20, 30 added to the tally. I don't think there's a chance forZe has any opportunity to get back into this one. 1,000 points now to 516.
Over double in a second here once they get past the 1,032 mark in a moment, but we are going to see forZe at least pick up a few frags for themselves. Finally, they dissolve the triple cap as well and are able to work off of that slightly. They're going to be able to steal A away too, but a single cap is really all Lazarus need at this point. They're just pushing up to 1,200, less than 100 points away from closing it out, and it's looking very, very likely that they're going to be able to do it. They're going to have to somehow try and steal away these 2 other points that the members of Lazarus are about to have control over, and unfortunately, I just don't think it's possible here for forZe at this point. Lazarus have cut away, and in just about 3 minutes, almost exactly, they take control of our final map, 12:05 to 6:68. It's Lazarus that'll take the series for tonight and take the 3rd place points and prizing that comes along with it.
I feel like if you're Lazarus there, you could have thrown every person on 1 point together, and because you have that big of a lead, they have to come to you to take your cap away. And even if you lose that 4-on-4 fight, you're going to at least trade out 1 or 2 eliminations, and then you're going to respawn back in and like rush into another point. I feel like there's just no chance you can come back from that at all for forZe. So a little bit unfortunate for them, but that doesn't mean Lazarus is going to maintain that lead over forZe as the weeks do continue to come through. You can see 212 for Romeo up against 154. Stacey did pretty well considering. I mean, yeah, considering like the score lines and how it ended, that's not a bad job. But unfortunately, the rest of the team wasn't as up to date as he was.
Yeah, and I mean, it ultimately comes down to the fact that Lazarus were holding great angles. They, weren't overextending their position at all. They were trying to make sure that they stayed relatively off the point and ready to take fights at a moment's notice against forZe as they were pushing back in. And forZe just seems so detached. Same problem, like I said, that Lazarus had back on our previous TDM map, where they were all separated, all trying to take separate fights and accomplish their own goals. And as a result of that, more than likely spawns were being staggered too. The players weren't necessarily coming out of spawns together. They weren't, able to form that death ball that we saw be so useful back in the TDM matchup. And we're never really able to, up until the very end, really force any of Lazarus off their points.
Yeah. Again, like I feel like when we saw it, I think we saw it played once during Pro Series Texas. Otherwise, it was vetoed away. And because we were in a best-of-7 final, you basically had to play every map at that point. But it's definitely one of the most difficult maps to play. And I feel like if you're one of those teams that puts the time into it, it could be a wild card for you. It could be like a nice little ace up the sleeve that you can pull out and almost guarantee yourself a nice little victory. So congratulations to Lazarus for taking that and maintaining their lead over forZe. However, that was only the 3rd and 4th place match. We still have our finals to come up here between DustTwo and Knights. So we'll see you guys after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns of Boom Chount.
You don't like that, do you?
I feel like you're going to throw your neck out.
You. No, it's not even that drastic. It's like, it's a nod.
No, you're like...
It's not. If I was like banging, I'd be like... See, that would be like
I just hope your arms slip off the armrest and you smack your face against the desk.
That would be hilarious.
It would be. And you would come back up with a giant...
Hasn't happened yet, though, so we're still on point, ladies and gentlemen. Still looking good.
The season's not done just yet, Blue.
It's true.
Just like the Cup's not done yet, as we still have our finals to come underway for Cup 5. We're actually almost at the end of our season here for spring, which means we have our Brazil event coming up in just a few, like a month.
It's actually a little bit long. I think I said like 2 or 3 weeks. I thought we were in May for some reason. Like I thought it was May 20th instead of April 20th, so we're actually a little bit further off.
A little disappointed in you to actually think it's May instead of April.
Yeah.
It's a very important day. As we do have DustTwo up against Knights in our finals. And we're going to see who's going to come home with 100 points. Of course, the money on the side, but it's all about the points right now for these teams. They need to close this gap between them and second place to have a chance to make it into Brazil, to have an all-expense-paid trip. Not all expense. I guess you have to pay for your own food there, but there's catering. But you get to go to Brazil, and you get a chance to win a lot of money.
Most expenses paid trip, I guess.
Yeah, and pretty much if you qualify, you already make money anyways.
Yeah.
You guarantee, I think it's like $4,000 for 4
So technically all your expenses are paid by the prize pool. And there you go. But
well, unless you're Stavi, who didn't really make money in the end of things, since he was buying quite a few drinks for people.
Oh, is this a Texas?
Yeah, in Texas, like
okay.
the first day we're there, and we're gonna head to Walmart. Yeah, because you go to Texas, you gotta go to Walmart, right? You gotta stock up on $80 worth of candy. It wasn't really 80. It was more like.
I was about to say, did you spend $80 on candy?
It was more like 50 because I bought like some new underwear, some new socks, some new clippers, for my nails.
Very important to do that in the U.S.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Underwear's drastically
you get them on
different
bulk.
in the US.
You get them in bulk. I wish I was at Costco. So anyways, we're there. And before we headed off to Walmart, he wants us to do shots with him. We're like, dude, we're going to go to Walmart. We'll come back, we'll do some shots. And you could tell he's already in quite a few. And then he told me at the end he spent pretty much all of his money on...
Well,
Hey, at least he knew what to do with it. Me?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do with it. I'd probably just throw it in my savings account.
I'd spend it on a bunch of very dumb purchases, probably.
Like a keyboard for your tablet?
That's not dumb. That's useful. But it is dumb.
I wish you had your old tablet here to show everyone at home how funky it was.
I never had the keyboard for the old one, did I?
No, but it was just weird looking.
No.
It's the way to charge.
Oh, yeah, because of the, that whole the port thing. So once again, folks, in case you're wondering why we're rambling on about random topics, we're waiting for the server or the players to jump into the server. I think we actually have them all in there, so we're just waiting for a few players to ready up. It takes them a few moments. Sometimes they have to wait for like pings to stabilize or some other technical issues that need to get sorted out. As things tend to still be sometimes a little bit finicky with phones and Wi-Fi connections and all that. So we're just making sure everything is nice and secure before we have our teams commit themselves to the full potential 5-map series, which could take about 20 or 30 minutes here.
Sorry, I'm making some weird faces. It's like allergy season. And I swear I don't have allergies, but every time the seasons change between winter and spring and summer and autumn, my nose just goes crazy.
Need some, like the spray stuff, I guess.
I have some, actually. I bought some.
You? I don't know what it's called in
Europe.
Europe.
I bought it at Walmart.
Oh, there you go. You got the good stuff.
I got protein bars at Walmart. This is like an ad for Walmart now.
Why didn't you buy so much like normal stuff that you could get in Europe? Like,
well, the protein bars, just to keep my protein intake high for these massive guns. Boom. And then, of course, the nasal spray because, like, I don't want to be sneezing constantly.
oh, okay. So, I mean, if you were using it there, that's fine. I thought you, like, specifically bought this stuff just for, like I want to buy this in the U.S.
No,
I was like, this is all very normal things.
Yes and no, because I don't know the brand companies in Europe or in Germany. Anyways, grand finals are kicking off here between DustTwo and Knights of Honor. It's going to be a best of 5, and we'll see how this one breaks down if Knights can take their first victory here. Where previously in the last week, well, I guess in Cup 4, I should say, since it wasn't last week, they came in second place to Noble. And DustTwo in Cup 1 came second place to forZe. So we will have finally one of these two teams taking home a cup victory. We'll find out who it's going to be.
A bit chaotic here as we enter the farm to start things off. It's a back and forth affair on a few different sites. C being the most notable door on there gets a nice denial off. He tries to take the head off of Notorious, but I think he ends up with a body shot, though, so won't get the extra credit for the headshot. Regardless, it is currently DustTwo leading the charge with their double cap, or what may become a double cap in a few seconds here. Bit contested over towards A right now. C is similar, but it has at least fallen under full control of the Knights, and they're going to use that to try to get back into this. A is constantly just going back and forth all over the place right now. But B has been under DustTwo control for pretty much the entire map so far. So that's the real advantage for DustTwo, is they have that constant point always swinging in their favor.
I think it's, oh, wow, Notorious, that was a little unfortunate. I want to say that DustTwo should be the favorites in this matchup. I mean, just because they're ranked 4 already, compared to Knights who are 6. But DustTwo have had more top 4 placings, 3 out of the 4 cups, than Knights had. Only 1, which was the last cup we did have. So I'd say DustTwo are going to be favorited, and as you're seeing in the scoreline, I think it's kind of proven to be true here. 523 to 358. You see Dobar and 2 other players trying to hold on towards the middle point, but immediately, Armenian Ace is going to come through with a fantastic rocket, and Sergio's going to clean this up. So 3 players immediately being dropped, and that should be B turned in a few seconds over to the side of DustTwo if they want it.
It's double cap at the moment, at least right now, though, for the Knights. Despite losing quite a few of their roster, they've been able to still maintain good map control, but I feel like they're about to lose that. It seems like it was hyper-focused for the DustTwo guys on just getting back A control, and possibly can make all 4 players to do so. So as you see, they pretty much just run over the B site. It's going to be a few players trying to work their way back over to this point and attempt to take back control, but I think it's going to be relatively unsuccessful. A is also being back capped in the meanwhile too, so someone is going to have to move from DustTwo to take control of that. B is completed, but look at this. T-Mac running up from the backside here. Dobar also picking up 1 frag himself. They do deny T-Mac's attempt to steal away the B point, but C is still contested. Despite all this though, DustTwo still have a constant lead in their favor. A little under 200 points right now over the Knights.
Yeah, just a little bit under 200, but the thing is, they don't need that many more to close out this entire map. You see T-Mac try to hold on to the points, being flanked from behind. He gets the quick turnaround. Unfortunately, not going to be quick enough as Doran gets himself a double, and that's going to be DustTwo able to maintain that point yet again. C going to be captured over in a few seconds, I would imagine, because they still have some players here. And that is going to be a 2-point hold, and almost certainly it's going to be a map victory for DustTwo now.
It's looking likely. Just about 100 points away as Knights of Honor have fallen by the wayside slightly. They're still trying to take control away from these key points, but they're not really able to wrestle either B or C out of their hands. A is also still being harassed by DustTwo in the process of this as well. So it's looking like the Knights have pretty much just constricted themselves. They're going to let these remaining points cede over to DustTwo, meaning they take map number 1 by a little under 400 points. A pretty massive lead for them to start off with, and a confident win to take on the first map.
And you saw Sergio, I think it was, he had the most limbs at 12, but he was 3rd place in score, and that just shows, well, I think Doran in 1st place was 6. That shows how important it is, I'm sorry, to get these assists and, of course, to be able to capture these points, to really get points built up for you. It doesn't matter really how many limbs you get, as long as you're building up these points consistently. And Doran had a lot of great shots, actually, to get back to the sniper shots he had in their first match. Time and time again, hitting these like really consistent, really good shots. And just like that, they've been able to take that first map and head over to Military Warehouse as our second. I'm curious, though, if we're going to have a little bit of a similar thing happen when it comes to game modes, where we saw forZe do really well in TDM, but Lazarus able to just... Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the score difference here between Doran and T-Mac. This is a pretty I mean, everything else has been really close tonight. We think the biggest lead we've had is only like about a 20 or 30 point advantage towards one player. But this time, Doran just shoots ahead by almost 100 points over the next highest player, T-Mac here. And it's odd, right? Because look at eliminations and death, it's still relatively similar. It's all those assists coming in from Doran. And I would imagine the other accolades he was able to get too, which continues to push his point totals further into the lead. Weapon side of things here as well, also looking relatively similar.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard that.
That probably bled through.
That had to have. That's why I had the cough button down. I didn't hold yours, though, unfortunately.
So bless you.
Don't worry, another one's coming in a few seconds. Sorry, continue with your point.
But yeah, I mean, overall, weapons, generally what we come to expect. We see a little bit more of an even split between the Odin and the fire dot rifle here as well, as we take a look at that category. More interested to see the rifle side of things. Again, more so aligns with our capture point meta here. Doran, he's been using his sniper a little bit more prevalently tonight, so that's not too much of a surprise to see that out. And the other 7 players in the server still choosing to... Sorry. Just getting like 6 of their games confused there. The other 7 players in the server still choosing to go with the Scout for the movement boost that it provides.
It's fine. You got there. You covered me while I was sneezing, which I think there might be another one in a few seconds. I think I might be sneezing for like the next 7 minutes straight, just as a heads up.
You're not kidding about the allergies here, are you?
No, I actually think I do have allergies.
Yeah.
But it's only like, it lasts for like a couple weeks and it's gone every time. Like from winter to spring and from summer to autumn or fall. Every time. Also, like,
wild.
It's like changes in climate messing me up.
Can't relate, unfortunately.
Well, when you have a nose this big, you know something's going to go wrong, right? Let me just give you a little side portfolio view profile. Come on, Blue, look at me. Look at me so we can compare. Look at me more. Turn your head more. I can see you can't. Okay, there you go.
Oh, I didn't know we were comparing nose sizes.
Yeah, look on my screen. You see it?
I mean, I could see it, yeah, if I just...
You can't
I know my nose is smaller than yours.
turn your head that quick.
Well, yeah, because I got to look at the monitor.
I almost did it. I almost caught it, actually. Anyway, sorry. We are done with that first, but heading to our second military warehouse in a few seconds as we're going to compare noses off-screen and off-air later on tonight. We'll be comparing these two teams to see who's going to be the better team today and take home the 100 points.
So it's back to military warehouse to see if DustTwo could keep this lead rolling, especially in the barnstorming, quite literally barnstorming fashion. They took the first map, and it's looking like a great start again. This cut over the right flank. 3 kills, now 4 into their favor. Now still not seeing a trade come back against them either. A solid 60 points without a single response from the Knights of Honor.
59. That's like, I don't know if we've ever seen like 59-0. There's no way they're going to be able to maintain this. As finally T-Max going to get back on the board, taking down Spleen.
2 more from them, though, right after that.
That is a big lead on TDM, especially this early on.
So the question is, will it be able to grow from that? Again, the kind of battleware still is going to hurt the members of DustTwo and lead them out of the fight eventually, but with their fresh respawns, as long as they can maintain good positioning, they do have a few of their players spawn locked, so that's going to make it a tad harder. As long as they're able to work their way back into the open, this is where they can start to cut ahead again. You've got the Spleen trying to push himself into a good position here as he wraps back around. Johnny, though, cuts him off, so he is going to start taking burn dot damage from that. Does complete a flank, but look at this. Johnny just wrapping through players left and right. A double elimination from him, I do believe, as he picks that up and really starts to push the Knights of Honor back into this fight now. They're only about 10 points behind DustTwo, but Doron, another nice shot on the sniper from him, pushes Johnny out of the server temporarily, and DustTwo back into the lead.
That's kind of like the comeback mechanic in the game. I mean, they were up by like, what, 70, 80 points? Because your elimination streaks get so big, you know, when you do fall, which eventually you will, the other team gets to build up a lot of points, you know, to get themselves back in the game. Still about 50-point difference between the two. So that's two maintaining that lead. 3 minutes left to go. You can see now Knights trying to group up here. Nice little position on the door, and he gets a lot of damage done actually with that RPG coming through. But again, the elimination feed is going to be mostly just all red. So Knight's going to close this gap, but I would imagine it's going to have a lot of low HP targets. Actually, they don't even. Dobar is the only one a little bit low on HP. So some clean eliminations coming through here out of Knights is exactly what they need to get back in this.
Spleen moves in, though, picks up the next frag here. Actually, a triple elimination coming out there for the Spleen as well. That's going to push his team ahead by a huge margin. Look at this. In just a few seconds, they were sitting at about 250. They've cut ahead by over 75 points, seemingly out of nowhere as well. Great stuff from DustTwo. That triple elimination specifically really is going to give them a lot of bonus points to shoot forward.
And again, look at that. Knights able to pull off some clean eliminations. We got about 2 there without taking a single point of damage. Taurus is starting to do some serious work. 125 points, leading his team at the moment. The Spleen at 151. He almost has double the second highest player on his team is Sergio, and that was all basically off the back of that triple elim he got.
Omar gonna run right up here, find himself a knife kill against the Spleen. Sergio strikes right back, however, for DustTwo as they're barely hanging on to this lead. And it's constantly getting these boosts to push it further and further ahead. The lead's starting to dwindle a little bit here, but if we're following the narrative of this matchup so far, we should expect DustTwo to find multiple kills here and continue to push the lead into their favor, and that's exactly what we get, up to 425. Knights still lagging behind a little bit, about 390. They've got to catch up quick here, as DustTwo is under 60 points, or just over 60 points away now from closing out the map.
And Knights need to somehow come together in the last few seconds. They can't really keep affording to lose player after player. They need these quick, swift, clean eliminations just like that. Okay, never mind. Notorious gets his head taken off here. Armenian Ace pulls off the hat trick shot. And Doran again going to fall this time to T-Mac coming in from the side. But 30 points left to go against the 50 of Knights of Honor. Who's going to be able to pull these off? Who's going to hit these shots? And so far, it's been Knights.
Spleen, though, trades it back. Only 1 or 2 kills away now for DustTwo. However, Knights have closed the gap, 44-43. It's going to be an incredibly passive next few moments here as we wait to see who wants to peek first, who wants to take the risk and go into the open. Neither team wants to do it. Notorious burning there as well. He's going to have to tuck away now for probably the rest of the map. Oh, and Doron comes in with a kill, so it is looking like we'll see DustTwo cut out ahead, taking control of a second map and setting up the possibility for a clean 3-0 for them now as they claim a very down to the wire second map here.
It's a very realistic possibility. Yeah, that was a much closer match, or much closer map than what we saw on map 1. However, it was a different game mode, and it's a different style you have to play. It's not about necessarily controlling the map and controlling these objectives. It's more about who has the better aim power and about the better like 2-on-2s or 2-on-1 aim focus. But we're going to be going over to Saloon, which will be King of the Hill. I think that's where things are going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the fact that now we get both elements combined in the fight here, we end up getting the kind of chaos of the objective focus play, and the more, I guess you could say the more like team focused fragging power that has to come from a conjoined fight over one objective too, which kind of carries over from TDM. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds as we're going to be moving into a King of the Hill game mode for the first time in this series.
You know what I'm going to do?
What?
I think the team that takes full control of the point in the beginning on this next map will win the map.
Wow, you're going to just call it there, right?
Yep.
I don't want to be so bold on that one personally.
It's fine. I'm like...
We've seen it flip. You're like
regular Coke, and I'm like cherry Coke, you know? Got a little pizzazz. I was going to say vanilla Coke, but that's like the most basic.
Cherry Coke's a bit divisive, though, I'm going to be honest.
Okay, you know what? We looked at our pizzas. You had pepperoni. I had pepperoni and pineapples.
Just that's like why would you want something sweet on
I told you, the toppings are the playmakers.
Yeah, but like why would you want something sweet on a pizza?
Because sweet and salty work well together, Blue. That's why we work so well together, because you're sweet and I'm salty all the time. Probably the nicest thing I've ever said to him. We are waiting on a couple players actually to ready up so we can kick off our last match. Remember, this is only week 5. We still have plenty more weeks to come up. We still have North America as well coming up next week, which we'll be broadcasting. Not going to be broadcasting this week, but they are playing, I think, starting
probably right now.
Probably not. I don't know. There's no timer on this. Oh, there we go. 9:46. So about 14 minutes, I think.
Yep.
I think they actually have started. I think you're right. But next week we'll be covering EU and an A. And of course, you still have the Pro Series Brazil event to come up June 8th live from Brazil in South America. Make sure you check in on that one. And we also have our second team. We haven't really mentioned this too much. Qualified through to Gods of Boom coming up in July. Literally right down the street from me. I can literally walk there in like 5 minutes. I pass it every time I go to the gym, which is clearly never. The Linksys Arena, I think that we played in during ESO1 Clone. We have a nice little Gods of Boom event with nobody qualified through. And of course, Impact as well now, being the second team. Honestly, with the way Impact played, I feel like Impact are going to take the whole thing. I don't think we've seen a team come even close to be able to contest them unless they're just going to come up out of nowhere.
Well, we'll have to see if that'll be the case, and that's going to be coming up. I believe that would be in July,
yeah,
right?
July.
Yeah, that'll be in July, of course, but we'll have that Gods of Boom showdown taking place in another very epic arena showdown. We already had the first one a few months ago back at Katowice, where Noble was able to come out on top in a bit of a surprising fashion as well, especially when you get to kind of some of their online recent results. But they took the crown there, and now we get to see who takes it a little bit further to the south in Germany when the time comes. I think that's actually probably wrong now that I'm...
Technically, it's right. I think Katowice is more north than Cologne.
I'll have to double check that after this segment because now I feel like I'm wrong.
Pretty sure it's more north than Cologne.
Yeah. All right. So
you fly like up a little.
Definitely more like westerly though than anything.
So I'm gonna news report here. Producer's telling us to shut up and talk about the game. I'm kidding. He didn't say that, but we probably should actually. Anyway, no, we were talking about the game. We're talking about
Gods of Boom and
here we go.
The Pro Series.
DustTwo eSports up against Knights of Honor in potentially our final map of the night. Wild West Saloon. We'll have DustTwo on the blue side, Knights of Honor on the red. As I said before, the team to get that first initial strong control of the point, I think it's going to be the team to take it. So, Knights of Honor probably going to be winning now, right?
I'm going to go the other way. I say DustTwo got it.
All right, well, you know, you want to be basic then? Do you?
Well, let's see who is going to come out on top of some of these opening skirmishes. DustTwo with a few players routing out through spawn. They haven't been able to push the hill just as of yet. But now they're going to be able to do that. Sergio holds a top control. This is great overall map control, even with a few of the members from the Knights of Honor being on very close proximity to the point. They weren't able to stop the cap from happening. So DustTwo takes it away. And in just a second here, seemingly they were going to be able to solidify the lead. But no, the Knights of Honor actually steal it back into their favor. Doron holding on his own. Not for very long, though. The burn dot ticks in pretty quickly there from the incinerator and will knock him out.
Yeah, he had a peek eventually. I mean, he was going to just eventually fall from the dot anyway, so you might as well get some damage in while you can. You see Sergio trying to go for a back cap here. Well, there's players all around him. He will be finished off. Now, Doran has to be careful. He needs to not take any damage. He needs to not get actually flanked. But actually, just to say that, he does have reinforcements there, and Doran picks himself up a big double. This double limb comes through, potentially the triple as well. That's a lot of points on the board, and it should be the point taken as well. Dorn is a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, they were almost 100 points behind a few seconds ago, but all the extra points that they got for the double and the triple elimination is really going to start to push them back into control very quickly, especially now that they've stolen the lead away. T-Mac with a nice snipe on his Barracuda does start to bring things back slightly, as we're going to see the immediate decap come in the favor of the Knights of Honor. Sergio managing to get the double explosive and the double elimination there as well. Some more combos working into his favor. It's not stopping the point caps, though. Knights of Honor still holding on for those few extra seconds until just now when we see DustTwo able to force the issue and take back control of the point.
So 500 points and counting here up against the 480. Well, actually, I jumped the gun a little bit here. DustTwo is not really that big of a lead as I thought they would be. But still, Knights of Honor is keeping this close. All these points and a lot of the difference they have between the two is coming down to that initial start that Knights did have. But again, you have to really watch out for Dorn. Dorn's at 182 points, and Spleen's at 181. Look at the rest of the players on the team with Sergio 84 and Armenian Ace at 46. I'm not trying to call them out in particular. I'm just trying to show you how well Dorn and Spleen are playing so far in this map.
We've got Knights of Honor back with control of the point. In the meanwhile, Spleen's going to be able to get himself a head knockout against Notorious in order to take him out of the fight. Johnny with one for himself, but the kills are still spreading into DustTwo's favor, and in large part, that's how they're maintaining their lead right now. Remember, they only just recently, as about 5 seconds ago, took the point away. And Knights of Honor, there's a very good chance they're going to be able to take it themselves here. Dobar will move in, attempt to get the decap. They try to use the rocket. It does actually go off just before Dobar goes down, but the cap is still gained once again by the Knights of Honor, and they can leverage this to keep themselves very close to DustTwo's overall scoreline, if not outright take the lead away again.
I think it's been actually really aggressive. I think they're trying to push on towards the top-hand side of Saloon to catch them on the respawns. In the meantime, it's flanked. Aminate's been able to get on the point and survive for a little bit longer. Dobar's going to be there. Now he's going to fall, but he does get the trade with the teammate of Dejani. And now Spleen up against Dejani, and Spleen's eventually, Dejani's eventually going to fall, and the point should be turned in a few seconds, or at least neutralized for now. 814, actually all tied up now as DustTwo take a massive lead out of nowhere with the point capture, with the 2 eliminations coming through. They're up about 50 points and counting.
Spleen and Dobar will trade blows against each other. That clears the right flank open to any player that wants to try and push it themselves. Notorious is going to cut into the Saloon. T-Mac pushes the right flank once again. Armenian Ace trying to avoid combat. Sergio also trying to detach it and move it as far away from this point as possible. Nice sniping coming out from Dobar there on the rifle. He's able to take down Armenian Ace, but again, trades are too strong at this point for DustTwo, and with them inching over 1,000 points, they take the solid 3-0. It seemed like their opponents were going to be able to steal away this map, but no, the trades came in at the midpoint of the match. They once again took control to take the series into their favor and end our finals 3-0 in DustTwo's favor.
I do want to say, by the way, I said the first team to get stable control of the point, which technically was... You still with me?
That's not what he said.
With DustTwo.
That's not what he said.
Go back and watch the VOD. That's exactly what I said. Stable control.
I will.
Okay. All right, we'll watch it together. Back at the hotel.
I'll have a tweet coming in about 30 minutes.
Okay, we'll get some popcorn. Dorn,
How are we getting popcorn?
I don't know. Everything's closed here.
Yeah.
15 eliminations, 257 points. He went off, not only on this map, but he's definitely the MVP of the series, I think, for me. He's played fantastic over the course of the entire day, actually, if I'm not mistaken, in their initial match up against Lazarus. Knights of Honor had a very good showing there as well, able to get through to the finals in 2 cups back-to-back, which is definitely a strong showing, and definitely helps them move up the ranks in the leaderboard. But it all comes down to who's in those top 2 spots. It's basically like a game of musical chairs here in Europe. Who's going to be in the top 2 seats, or who's going to be in the 2 seats left out of all these 8 teams, and those 2 seats will be going to Brazil.
And for the Knights, once again, they come very close to having a cup victory of their own to put in their pocket, but fall in the finals once more. Same as 2 weeks ago when we saw a very similar path taken by them, but that doesn't mean they're out of the running. They're still going to get a great amount of points, considering they were in 6th place. Then I'll be bumped all the way up to, it's looking like 4th right now, I believe, is where they're going to end up in. So inching closer and closer. They're trying to steal away the cup, or that top 2 position from either Lazarus or DustTwo, it seems, now has control of the 2nd place position.
Let's see. I mean, the rifles, you can obviously look at these like all day long, but when it comes down to it, DustTwo did take the victory, and more importantly, DustTwo is looking to really push through into somehow getting in the top 2 places. They've been top 4 out of the 5 cups. So I think if they do break through, they're definitely going to be deserving of it. I mean, they've not been able to get their victory. They've gotten, what, 2nd place finish 1 time, 3rd, 4th place finish twice, and now a 1st place finish. The only time he didn't actually finish the top 4 was in Cup 2 with Lazarus, forZe, and Noble, and Unbreakable. But well done by them. I think they definitely earned their spot. They definitely earned that victory today. They beat some very difficult teams. And they now get to take home those 100 points. And, speaking of the points, let's take a look at the brackets now and see where things have settled now. As the Dust has... Actually, okay, wait. That's the bracket. We'll look to the standings. I was jumping... My head
There's a
head was in
difference.
standings. My mouth was in brackets. You can see them able to take... two matches without dropping a single map against two really strong teams.
Yeah, so an amazing performance from DustTwo, knocking out Lazarus, who we've seen come out on top of multiple events in the past year, and just overall hold a very strong position in the European region, and then knocking out Knights of Honor, who's been our new contender in these past two cups, now managing to kind of sneak their way into the final and becoming a more consistent force, I guess, that we'll have to be worrying about in the future.
Okay, now it's time. Let's take a look at the standings and see how things have shaken up and how the Dust has settled. And look at that. We got a new second-place team.
forZe have been bumped out by 10 points as well, so it's going to be a close competition come next week. It looks like Lazarus are still looking relatively safe with about a 50-point lead over DustTwo, but indeed, DustTwo with their win this evening and the lackluster finishes from both forZe and Lazarus has snuck their way into the top two, bumping forZe out.
And it's about a 65 point. Actually, no, it's only a 10-point difference between second and third, but a 65 between third and fourth. Knights of Honor jumped from 6th to 4th place. DustTwo jumped from 4th to 2nd place. forZe fell from 2nd to 3rd place, and Noble fell from 3rd to 4th place. So a little bit of a switch up, but again, that's what's going to happen. Even though you win one of these weeks does not mean you're qualified through or you're going to be guaranteed through in the slot. You have to play every week and perform well every week on top of that. Blue, I think we're pretty much done for today. Anything you want to say before we head off?
No, I just want to thank you once again for having me on here today. I had a blast.
All right, well, this will be the last time we have you on. No, thank you for joining me. And, of course, thank you to the production team here in Katowice, Poland. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week for more Guns A Boom.